Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome along from wherever you are joining. You are looking live at a beautiful overhead shot of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We were back here in May for the greatest spectacle in virtual racing, and now we are back, but this time it's a little bit different. We're going to be racing not 500 miles, but 400 miles in NASCAR Next Gen stock cars. It is the Majors Brickyard 400, and it is right here on the Majors Series YouTube channel. I'm Tim. Joining me tonight is Mike. He's going to be producing, bringing you these images, and as you get a quick look at the circuit profile here, the 2.5 mile Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We've talked ad nauseum about this legendary facility. We're going to talk about it a little bit more as the race progresses. Track conditions currently 104, bit on the warm side. We're going to have to monitor that, see if the track continues to rise as the day goes on. Air temperature currently 80 degrees. It is an open setup. We have 10 sets of tires for today's race, and as you can see there, it is showing myself and my buddy Mike. We're going to be with you for the 400 miles that will be making up today's race. As it stands right now, you can see there at the top left corner of your screen, we're about 1 minute and 20 seconds away from practicing ending. Then we're going to grid them up, and then we're going to get going. I think we're going to have a quick look at our starting grid here momentarily. Great shot of the blimp there, and you can see the scoring pylon as the drivers wrap up their final practice runs and their final preparations for today's event. We had a bit of a technical issue here early on when the competition committee was trying to get the session loaded up. There was some sort of a glitch, and they had to create a new session. So that's leading to a couple of little minor glitches. So we are gonna be briefly waiting. We have a brief delay here for the starting grid. We'll have that for you here shortly. In the meantime, we're just going to kind of hang out here, and we will have that starting grid for you here in just a moment. Great looking overhead shot there of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as I believe we're getting ready to switch over sessions here. Your eyes are not deceiving you. Oh, yet another wrinkle here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is the fact that there is a golf course that is situated outside of the back stretch and on the inside of the facility itself. So you're also... Starting lineup for today's race: Dan Stevens on pole, Robert Northway in the 46 on the outside of row number 2, or excuse me, row number 1, position number 2. Row number 2, Dylan Jordan and Cam Dance. Moving on down to row number 3. We have for you Matthew Pluck and Connor Nixon. Row number 4 as the field begins to pull away for their one and only parade lap before we get the green. We have Thomas Hins with Ewan Baker for company. Row number 5 rounding out our top. We had the top 10 for you so far, so we're just working through a couple of glitches here. Thanks for your patience there. Appreciate that. Going to run through the first 4 rows again. Row number 5, rounding out our top 10, Ben Dowdy, Gavin Cox. As the field's working its way down the back straightaway, we have Gav Barber and Heath Mannering, row number 6. Row number 7, longtime series driver Wayne Hutchinson with Ryan Steele right alongside him. Row number 8, Robert Henry, Stuart Elder, another longtime driver here in the major series. Row number 9, Cam James, Jake Fox alongside him. And row number 10, we have Adam Briggs, Paul McKenzie. Rounding out our top 20, our field of 31 cars here today. Row 11, Jason Lotbridge and Brad Wiggins. Row number 12 as the field is now in turn 3, Matt Town and Craig Tilson. Row number 13, Adam Johnson, Robbie Bradbury. Row number 14, Phil Otto and Martin Waugh. Row number 15, still waiting for that to come up. There we go. Wayne Taylor, Clint Day as the pace car is preparing to peel off. Number 16, Matt Chalker, Michael Hogg as the field is addressing itself down to the start finish line. Phil King rounding out the tail end of the field. They're in the restart zone, and just like that, we are racing here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 160 laps of racing to come here at Indy. Side by side as they go through turn 1 for the very first time. And it looks as though Northway might be able to just get the jump there on the inside as they come out of turn 2, working their way down the back straightaway. We'll talk a little bit later as the race goes on about this racetrack itself. But Robert Northway leads from that outside of row 1 as we see 2 cars side by side there for the 3rd position. We'll have our scoring pylon pulled up here in just a minute. There are no stages in today's race, just to clarify that. That's another one of the technical glitches we're working our way through at the moment. But coming off turn 4, just like that, lap 1 is complete. 159 to go. So Northway, Stevens, Dance, and Matthew Pluck, they're in the top 4. Nixon rounding out your top 5 as we're taking a peek here at the battle for 7th. That's going to be Thomas Hines currently in that 7th position. He's going to have Dowdy and the 36 behind him, working their way down the back straightaway here. Now these guys early on in the runs, they are going to they're going to want to be as aggressive as they can be while the tires are still fresh, because after about 4 or 5 laps, they're going to want to get settled in here and then begin to kind of see what they have going on as far as the car handling, as far as their setups go. These drivers, of course, had plenty of practice, as they always do. Per the majors rules, there is always a minimum lap requirement here in order to be eligible to race, as we have a pretty good battle there between Baker and I believe that's going to be Dowdy side by side, working our way through turns 3 and 4. So they have had plenty of track time, but this is the first time they've all been on track together in one big group. The air movement is going to be much different than what they've experienced so far, so there's a big feeling out process here. And speaking of feeling things out, that's going to be the 115 there on screen just behind him. That car just behind him was checking out the low line, trying to make moves, get some clean air, as we get a good look at Jake Fox pulling double duty as both a driver and conducting the pre-race driver's briefing. Interesting choice of music. I'm sure there'll be discussion about that. Always a good time with Jake Fox there. Currently working our way through turns 1 and 2. Down the back straightaway here, and as I had just said a moment ago, they are starting to get themselves single file throughout the field now, starting to settle down a little bit, get into a rhythm, get these early laps through under your belt, get a good feel for your car, see what's going on and see how it feels for you. Robert Northway pulling away just a little bit, about a second of a gap, but we have a bit of a freight train developing behind him from Stevens on back. There's a bit of a, we'll call it a 4-car breakaway for now, a bit of another gap to the remainder of the field there. So again, that's something that's going to be that's something we'll want to monitor as this race begins to play itself out. Now that things are starting to settle down a little bit, let's talk about the racetrack itself. It looks identical. It's a 4-corner racetrack. It looks very simple, straightforward from the air, but I promise you, even though those 4 corners appear to be identical, every single one has to be driven completely differently. They are all very, very different from each other. And I mentioned before here, obviously the Indianapolis 500 takes place here at this racetrack in those IR18 machines. Very, very different animal driving these big, heavy stock cars. Everything has to change from the driving style to your braking points. So you actually do have to brake here at this racetrack in this car, unlike with the Indy cars, as we brought on board with Cam Dance there. Great shot of the cockpit view where you can see exactly what he's looking at. We're working our way through turn 1, the short chute headed over to turn 2. That wall is going to come out at you in a hurry as you see Dan's kind of get off of the corner just a little bit earlier than he wanted to. Didn't quite make that apex there, but just to pay off that last point, everything is so different in these cars as we have a crash and our first yellow of the day. Going to be Matt Town and Matt Chalker. Get a replay here to see what's going on. Chalker still struggling to get away. When those tires get really hot, it's very easy to keep the car looped around. Very difficult to get the thing back running again. As we have our replay here, this is going to be Chalker in the 76. Coming off of turn 2, I believe, is where we are here. And it looks like obviously the 310 had a problem there. Chalker, unfortunately, nowhere to go. Town right there. Those are always tough. We're going to get a look to see here what happened to Town. He has the 35 right in front of him there, and the back end stepped out and he tried to correct the car. The front tires gripped up, and unfortunately with these next gen cars, you really don't have a lot of space to catch the car once it starts to go. And then once those tires grip up, whichever direction the car happens to be pointed in, that's the direction it's going, and that's unfortunately what happened to Town there. That car is going to be beat up pretty well. He will, I'm sure, be using his fast repair. Get a good look at him there as well. We'll keep an eye on Chalker to see if he takes a fast repair as well. And early pit stops there. Now, the live officiating, as we will put a pin on that, as we have pit stops, and surprisingly, everybody's faking out. I love it. Love to see it. I was going to say I'm a little surprised that they are coming in so early. Now, well, again, tires are absolute king here for the NASCAR car at Indy, but this is a little early in the run to do it. So we do see a few of those back markers there coming down the pits. No reason not to at that point. No harm, no foul. We are getting word here that there was an incident with car number 80. Race control is viewing that as a racing incident. No further action. Just to clean that up, Town did take the fast repair, and I believe Chalker is going to as well. As we have Connor Nixon there on our screen, currently running in 3rd place. As we continue to work our first caution period. While we have a minute, let's go ahead and pay off what I was talking about regarding each turn, the driving mindset. You do have to brake in these cars, so that is going to be... There's a lot that goes on there, and then there's also the how you drive the corners. There's actually going to be braking points and things of that nature. There's also a lot of technique in how you approach each corner and how the lines that you take and particularly on entry. The exit, obviously, of turns 2 and 4 are going to be critical as they feed onto those very long front and back straightaways. And we've seen it already. When you're pushing hard, very easy to lose the car, as we saw with Matt Town there a minute ago. So as the race progresses, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Aero push is also going to be a thing. We're going to see a lot of nose to tail. The draft is going to come into play. And so a lot of differences between the stock cars compared to the Indy cars that you would traditionally see on this circuit. And he told me ahead of time he may not be his usual talkative self, but Mike's chatting in my ear that he wants to chime in. Mike, my friend, welcome aboard. Glad to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I want to chime in here, just a little bit. This, as you stated, it's a very unique racetrack, as it is pretty much a rectangle. And, you hit it square on the nail. You have to drive each of these corners differently because they are different, even though they look almost identical. So your ringer, or road ringers, I should say, they benefit from a track like this simply because the corners are different. And another track that's very unique is Pocono. 3 different corners. Again, your road ringers will dominate at that track as well, because they treat it similar to a road course. You have to set up, for one corner. Then you just have to manage the other 2. Same thing here at Indianapolis as we're getting ready to go back green flag racing.
Yeah, and as you were saying that, Mike, I couldn't help but think of Juan Pablo Montoya and his foray into NASCAR. The closest he came to winning on an oval was right here. Indianapolis had a dominant car that particular day. Had a late race penalty, but he made the point that you can drive this very much like an oval. Pocono was absolutely the other track that comes to mind as well. And you do kind of have that road racers mentality when it comes to this racetrack. As you just said, we are getting ready to go back to green, coming to complete lap number 9 into the restart zone. I'm sorry, Mike.
Yeah, Robert Northway, Connor Nixon bringing the field back to the green flag as they dive down here into turn number 1. Nixon, he was looking to try to get on the inside of Northway there, but Northway was not having any of it as they make their way through turns 1. Now down here into turn 2 as you got side-by-side action for that 3rd spot behind them.
Stevens pluck, and we got 3 wide, 4 wide. Great shot of it as you see him coming towards you down that back straightaway. These cars do fan out on the restart. 3 wide into turn 3.
That doesn't usually work here at Indianapolis, but they will manage going through turns 3.
Great job by all 3 of those guys. They're very respectful racing among those 3. Ooh, I was holding my breath there, Mike, because we have a car on the access road.
Yeah, this is Phil King. He had a little bit of an issue here. Let's see what happened here. Stack up.
Check up in front of him. Yep, and that's a significant left side impact. He will undoubtedly have some suspension damage. That wheel, at the very least, is going to be canted off kilter ever so slightly at the very least, as Nixon not going away here, Mike, on this restart.
Yeah, Nixon, he is all over the back bumper. Robert Northway at the moment in that number 512 machine, but it's sporting a number 49 on the side. So if we say 512, we're actually talking about that number 49 machine of Connor Nixon. But as of right now, Robert Northway, he was looking forward to this race, I believe, the most. Yeah, he had this race circled here And right now, here comes Nixon making a run on the inside. Contact. Bumper. Ugh. Boys, it's only lap 12.
Great driving between these two. A fantastic battle for the lead, and it's allowing the train to creep in ever so slightly as Nixon is going to sweep into the lead here. Can he hang on to it? I believe he will.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nixon, he's decided that he wants control of this race, and nobody else is going to be able to stop him as they make their way down this front straightaway. And you're seeing this snake. Tim, do you care to explain why they have that snake effect on the straights here?
Well, it's a little early, Mike, but you see it all the time in the Indy 500, and you do see it to an effect here. It comes down to trying to break the draft. These straightaways are long enough. These cars, the draft is going to come into play here, not like it would at Daytona or Talladega, but these cars are punching massive holes in the air as they work their way around the track, which will allow the cars behind them to draft right up to it. So in an effort to break that draft, it's a defensive move, trying to break the draft for the cars behind you, but as you saw there, the car behind, when he sees that move, he's going to follow him to remain tucked up in that draft, and so on and so on and so on down the line, and hence you get the snake. And a little early to see it, not going to lie. We don't usually see that until late stages of the race, but there you go, Mike.
Yeah, definitely very early for that to happen. And I mean, I know that I break that chain, you know, if I'm in the top like 7 and I see everybody start snaking, I'm like, nah, just that little movement, that's actually, I feel like that slows you down a little bit. So I tend to stay, you know, going straight, and I have that person behind me also drafting off of me, so I'm not too worried about it. But here, only working lap number 14, it's way too early for that.
Not too early for Matthew Pluck to try to make a move here as we go down into turn 1. Gonna get it done. Now, the passing, Mike. Yes. I know that you're primarily an oval and a stock car guy.
I love my NASCAR.
From your perspective, what are you seeing in terms of what you're gonna have to do to get passes done? We saw Pluck just make that really smooth move there. I have my opinions on it, but I do want to hear what you had to say about it from your perspective.
Well, I'm gonna toot my horn a little bit because, you know, I am a 2-time iRacing.com Brickyard 400 winner, so I know what it takes to get the job done in these cars around this track. And to get a decent pass, you have to time your exit on the exit of turn 2 and turn 4. If you have an absolute horrible line going through those 2 corners, you can kiss a pass goodbye on the next straight, because you have to get it just right. As you see Cameron Dance getting those 2 tires down below that white line, but not onto the curbing. And right there you see him, he's taking a look now using that draft. So he used it like you see right there. He used that momentum, he used the draft, and boom, at the end of the straight, you get to pass. That's the only passing opportunities you have, you know, beside on a restart. You have to have your momentum, your speed, and you have to time it perfectly. If you're not, this track is a really, really hard track to pass at.
Passing does come at a premium, and Dance was very kind to provide us a live tutorial for exactly what you were talking about. Now, conversely, Mike, if you're trying to defend the move, how are you doing that? As we see, look like Dowdy had a bit of a brush with the wall there. But Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, defense-wise, pretty much you want to stop their momentum, and you want to run the same line. You want to give them that dirty air, because if you stay directly in front of your the challenger behind you, you're going to give them that dirty air. It takes away the downforce off their nose. They have to get off the gas a lot sooner, as you see Donnie not taking any prisoners here in turns 1. You know, you have to use the dirty air to your advantage. And if you do it right, they will slow up, just kind of like what you saw there with Stevens. He didn't get a really good run out of turn 2, which is actually opening up the door for Thomas Hins to try to make a run here on the inside of his teammate. And that dirty air will make you have to lift, slow more in the corner, or if you try to, you know, go normal, you're just going to push and you're going to hit that outside wall on exit. And if you do that, about 95% of the time, you're going to be heading straight towards that inside wall.
And to your point there, as soon as Stevens had that car in front of him, like, he immediately ducked up right in there to initiate that dirty air. Another way to defend, to stymie any run he may have gotten off of the corner. He kind of passed him with authority and got right in front of him very quickly. Very decisive move there.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and you also want to make it so that you don't give him the opportunity. You know, you can run about where Stevens is running now and still give him that dirty air, but at the same time, you know, you don't want to give them that opportunity to get the run. And if they do get the run, well, you're playing chicken into turn 1 at that point. And normally, I chicken out first most of the time. Not worth it this early on.
And you saw it live right there on the screen. Once Dowdy got through, Stevens immediately not only dropped one spot to his teammate, but he has been under fire ever since. Once you lose that momentum, it does take a while to get it back. And when the field's all bunched up like this, even though we're several laps into this run now, they're still fairly close together, and that's going to leave you vulnerable to the cars behind you. So very analytical dive into the mentality of the two-time Brickyard champ. Did not know that about you, Mike. Thank you for sharing that. I wasn't taking notes at all for my race tomorrow night when you were talking about that. That was not something I was doing whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've actually 2 wins. I think I have 1 second place finish, and then I know I have a pair of 2 place finishes in the Indy 500. I haven't been able to win that race yet. Coke 600, I have a 2nd place. I have 1 Daytona 500 for iRacing, but I also won the America's Intimidator 500 last year. Other than that, I suck.
Well, that's a pretty solid resume, my man. We are currently working lap number 22, and it is never too early to discuss pit stops. These cars, they can go up about 37 laps on a full tank of fuel. We already have a bit of a split strategy. Under that first caution, there were 2 or 3 cars near the back of the field that went ahead and came down the pit lane. Now, currently working lap number 22. We did have those caution laps, which will extend this first stint a little bit. Now, we could probably get it out to probably about 39 laps before we start to see cars coming in, would be my estimation here. You can save fuel if you're running in the draft, but not like in IndyCar where you have fuel mappings and fuel mixtures that you can play around with, as we see a nice little gaggle here. jockeying for position. A lot of the fuel save here on the NASCAR side of things is simply just lift and coast, letting that car ahead of you tow you along. Now the problem is you got to be tucked up right behind the car in front of you, much like we're seeing on screen here, as it looks like we might be seeing just a peak of a move. Not quite. Great shot of the cockpit.
There we go.
Little bit of a run on the outside. Don't see that very often.
No.
Hanging it out there, the 25, and who is that we were riding with? The 12. That's going to be Steele.
Sorry about
Who
that.
is having a really nice race so far. He started deep in this field. He's cracked the top 10 now, so good run for him. Bold move on the outside. Still, yes, he has cleared him. So he obviously has a strong car, as Briggs is all kinds of sideways hanging onto it there, big guy.
Passing around the outside here, you don't see it often, but you just saw it twice there, as these guys are almost hitting fenders there down the back straightaway, you know, using that side draft. As Gavin, he's continuing to fall back a little bit here, as Henry was able to make his way around him, as we got one car bouncing off the wall back there. I think that was Wayne Hutchinson in that number 17, I believe. No, it was actually Paul McKenzie. He was bouncing off the wall that back there in turn 3. But coming back to what I was saying, it is not often that you see pass around the outside and it worked, and we just sat there and saw it twice. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think if we're the driver on the inside there in that scenario, I think I'm sitting there going, where did you come from? What just happened? So maybe catching those guys napping just a little bit. Now, you can drive on the outside here in the stock car as opposed to the IndyCar. IndyCar is very, very difficult. Those cars, you're going so much faster in those cars than what we see here. There's, weirdly enough, as crazy as it is, these cars, these stock cars that we're looking at right now, they tend to have a little bit more mechanical grip, and that coupled with the lower speed enables them to go on the higher line. Now, when I say mechanical grip, don't roast me too hard. These cars are not known for their grip, but for what we are doing here, they do have the ability to go into multiple grooves. It's not the ideal line. You would only want to go up there if you know you can pull that move off, because you do not want to be stuck on that high side. Which just makes what we saw even just that much more impressive. And credit to all of the drivers involved there. They kept it clean when we were 3 wide for a minute there. Not easy to do, not easy to manage here at the Speedway. So great job so far by those guys, and really treating us to a pretty good show so far, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys are doing a phenomenal job, as we take a look here at Jake Fox and Wayne Hutchinson duking it out here for that 16th position. You know, it's still pretty early on in this race, and you know, I'm actually liking what I'm seeing at this moment. You know, the only reason why we had that first caution was because, you know, that dirty air, cold tires pushed the car to the outside wall, and that caused a little bit of a stack up, and well, that was all she wrote for that caution. But we've been green ever since then, and right now nobody's really, you know, trying to take, you know, and I mean, that even goes for Cam James right there in that number 99 machine. You know, he just got around Lockridge, you know, but he wasn't really taking it forcefully, and that's what I like. You know, Lockridge, he gave it to James. He knows that he's faster. As you see James now trying to work on the inside of Fox here. But everything is, you know, it's just absolutely groovy at the moment. Everybody's settled, single file, letting the laps hit. And after maybe the second or third pit stop, I think that's where we're really going to start seeing most of the action happen.
And very gentlemanly, very orderly so far. One thing I've noticed too, Mike, we're 18 laps into this run since we've gone back to green, and we're not, as we look, I think I saw we had a car in the wall there in the background, but we're not really seeing a whole lot of overall separation among these cars here. We are seeing groups form up, but looking at our track map here actually in the session, we have really the lead group, and then we have the 7th place car of Baker kind of riding by himself, but then everybody else is kind of in a big gaggle, not really getting away from each other. So I was expecting a little bit more separation than what we're seeing here so far. As you can see the track overlay there on screen. So I'm not sure if that's something that we're going to see here as we get deeper into this run. What I will say is my own practice runs, it was about 15 laps where the handling really started to make a difference, and we're kind of just crossing that point right now, currently on lap 30, so we're a few laps past that. So I'm curious to see if we're going to see more separation now as we're getting deeper into this run and as we begin to start to think about those upcoming potential green flag pit stops.
Yeah, absolutely. That first, 15 laps, depending on how you took care of your equipment, your tires, will ultimately determine how good or bad you are leading up to that pit stop that everybody is aiming and looking at. As we take a look here at your top 6 drivers, Nixon, Northway, Pluck, Dance, Dottie, and then Hens, they're all within, about a second and a half or so from each other here. Yeah, just about, I'm sorry, wrong driver. Yeah, just about 1 second separates your top 6. These guys, they're just cruising. Then you fall back to Ewan. He's just chilling right now by himself, and I think I'd rather be Ewan right now than be anybody else on track. Simply because I can do my own thing. I got clean air in front of me-ish. I got nobody on my back bumper taking, the air off my rear to force me to possibly spin. Right now, I'm just, gravy right now.
I agree with you. Nice little gap there where you're completely by yourself. You're in control of your own destiny. You're in a good spot, track position wise. And yeah, if I'm Baker, I'm right where I want to be, just kind of hanging out, chilling, logging laps. A little bit more side-by-side action here. I believe that's going to be Cam James. Is that Jake Fox again that he's working on? Awesome. And as we watch this on-track battle, we have a guest joining us here in the broadcast booth, Garen Batten, part of our competition committee, part of the a driver and the director of our MEC series, joining us now. Garen, how you doing?
Hi Tim. Hi Mike. Hey, yeah.
Hello.
Nice to join you on the broadcast for a little while.
Yeah, thanks for coming. What are your thoughts so far here? We're 32 laps in. We did have an early caution. We went back racing 10 laps into this race. We're on lap 23 of the current run, as we do see a taker in the pit lane. I'm noticing on my other screen here. What are your thoughts so far on what we've been seeing?
Yeah, I think pretty typical pattern for a major series race on an oval. Bit of bump and grind early, a yellow or two the start of the race, then people get settled in, log some laps, try and get a little ways into the race, take things pretty calm, and I'm sure that the second half of the race things are going to spice up a bit. So yeah, this is to be expected. Obviously this circuit, once people get strung out, it's pretty hard to make moves unless cars in front are making mistakes or really go off on their tyres. So yeah, I think there'll be quite a few sections of the race that'll be like this, where not a lot is necessarily happening in terms of cars going door to door, but yeah, people will be working on different things, whether that's saving tyres, working out fuel strategies, thinking about positioning later in the race, that sort of thing. So yeah, and like you said, it looks like Robert Northway's pitted from somewhere near the front a little earlier than others, maybe to try and do a bit of an undercut, given that the tyre drop-off is so strong at this circuit, to see whether he can jump himself back to the lead that way through the pit stop cycles if they stay green.
Yeah, I thought I saw somebody duck off on my alternate screen. Couldn't make out who it was, so thanks for confirming that for us. Checking in with the YouTube chat for the first time. Oh, I got it right for once in my life, talking about Ewan Baker, so thank you for confirming that. Appreciate that. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for watching. Hope you're enjoying the race so far. Garen, did you happen to see the passes on the outside that Mike and I were discussing a few minutes ago? Did you happen to see those by chance?
May or may not have. I've seen a couple of guys get around the outside here since we restarted again. Was doing a little bit of review with the stewards for a couple of things, so I may have missed it. But it's quite often, if you do get a bit of a tyre advantage on somebody else around the outside, here is going to be the only way you're going to get it done. So yeah, if people are pulling that, then I'd probably suggest that tyres are how they got it done.
And speaking of race control, in an event like this, how much time do you typically spend discussing with the stewards where we are, what kind of prep work, what's your workload for an event like this, as we see Paul McKenzie coming into the pits right now for his first stop of the day?
Yeah, probably a little less than the road course ones where we've got manual safety cars and potentially multi-class to deal with as well. Things are a little bit more straightforward. The iRacing engine can deal with a lot more things automatically and with a lot less errors on an oval compared to the road course and multi-class stuff. So yeah, there's a lot less peripheral things that the stewards and race control have to worry about when we come to the ovals. So yeah, not quite as much in our hands. It's just a case of overseeing and making sure that there's no quirks or things that go a bit weird as we've got an incident on track. And that's a save from the 22.
I think Mike's going to have a replay for us here in a minute. Yeah, Barber now in the pits. And I want to talk, if we get the replay, then that's probably going to be a speeding penalty. And that segues into exactly what I wanted to reference. These cars, they're big, heavy stock cars with very little braking capability. Getting into this pit lane is incredibly difficult. You're almost having to brake while you are still in turn 4, as I believe we do have a replay of the 22 car here. Coming down a little bit. It's a fantastic save. I don't think he knew that the 35 was fully alongside him, or hook of the nose there, I should say. So fantastic save there by Tilson, who we see on screen here once again. And Mike, if you can, keep it on Tilson as we exit the pits, because one thing we want to keep an eye on is out of bounds. The only place on the racetrack where we have out of bounds in this particular instance is where Tilson is getting ready to enter right there. Great shot of the roof cam. You cannot go above that solid white line there to the right hand side of the car. Going above the dotted line there is okay, but anything above that solid white line, you will receive a penalty, which is important when you are coming out of the pit. You're trying to get on the track as quickly as you can, get everything that you can, but just be mindful of that. And that's something that we will have to monitor throughout the day. As we have more takers, the green flag pit cycle is really and truly underway. Connor Nixon leading them down. And just to pay off a little bit more with the pit entry, you do enter directly off of turn 4 from the racetrack itself. You're more or less on the brakes really from the exit of 4 pretty much right away. You're not even getting on throttle on the exit of the turn 4 apex, just because, again, these cars, they don't like to brake very quickly. You really are on the brakes for a very long time, and these brakes, they're not cold because you got to use them in the corners. but they're just not super strong when we compare them to, say, an IndyCar here or the IMSA sports cars that'll be racing the road course variant of this here later on in the month. So entering the pits, as we have already seen, is going to be crucial. Exiting the pits, also, you don't want to avoid that out of bounds line. So pit road's tricky, guys.
The pit speed line on entry is also much earlier than it is on the IndyCar or the Indy 500 variant of the circuit as well. So you do have to get it stopped a lot sooner after coming out of 4 than is the case if you're in the IndyCar. So yeah, it really does make it quite tricky to get it slowed up. And yeah, especially on old tyres, especially old rears, yeah, the car can squirm around and do some things that'll probably catch more than one person out during this race if we've got a lot of green flag stops, I'm sure.
Well, to your point, I saw on my alternate screen Clint Day coming in, fishtailed badly. I think he managed to save the car, but he did take a black flag for it, as you see him right there on screen. So to your point, so easy to lock up those rears when you try to get on the binders to get down to that pit road speed limit, which another difference between NASCAR and IndyCar. We're going to talk about it all day long. IndyCar sports cars, they have those pit road speed limiters on the engines themselves where you just hit the button and it handles that for you. NASCAR does not have that, as we get a look at Clint Day coming here into the pits. And
the lack of the pit speed limiter becomes a differentiator between drivers as well. Those that are willing to take a little bit more risk and run closer to that line or that limit can gain a second or two in pit lane. Those that are a little more conservative, don't want to take the risk of running over it, can give up some time.
And that was a great save that Day had. Right there, you just saw it. We're looking live at Matthew Pluck. He was the leader coming down to the pit lane, but to your point, Garen, for those who are skilled in getting everything they can, there is plenty to be gained. And that is a separate skill all on its own and another layer to the strategy here.
Yeah, we're almost done here with our pit cycle. We're still waiting for 3 drivers to come on down. It's going to be Dottie, Hutchinson, and Otto. Those are going to be our final 3 drivers that do need to come down pit road. And here comes Hutchinson now. He's going to go ahead and make his way down on pit road. And as of right now, Dottie, he's been able to go about 42 laps. And I think you mentioned earlier, Tim, you said that they could probably go about 43 because of that first caution. That's
my rough guesstimate, based off of the 2 caution laps to 1 green lap ratio compared to the 37-ish that they can go. So I would expect we're going to see Dowdy here pretty soon, and I think he's coming right now. Yep.
43 laps. Last card that needs to come down pit road went all the way to lap 43. So, hey, you hit it right on the nail there as well.
Beginner's luck, my friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what we'll take it.
That should cycle the 744 around to the lead, but I'm curious about Northway as Dowdy went long in his box there. Michael Hogg, I don't believe he hasn't pitted yet, has he?
Michael pitted.
He did.
Took a chance to pit at the end of the first yellow, so we'll be due a stop in a few laps, a little bit out of sequence. So the effective race leader is Northway, having pitted was 6 laps earlier than Connor Nixon, who was the leader prior to the sequences starting. So it looks like the undercut has worked, but it'll be interesting to see how quickly Connor on the fresher tyres is able to catch back up to Robert once everything cycles through here.
So thanks for clarifying that. So Hogg was one of those guys at the tail end of the field that did take service on that first pit stop, assuming that he filled up as Northway passes him for the lead. Assuming that he is running a full tank of fuel, we can expect to see Hogg in the pits probably in about 3 to 4 laps. Actually, as soon as I say that, he comes in right now, which hands the lead back to Northway. And checking the gaps here, it looks as though Northway is going to have about an 8/10. Actually, he's going to have a bigger gap than that. He's going to have a significant gap to Nixon back in second before the pit sequence. We saw all of these drivers running pretty much nose to tail, as a couple of issues here. Jason Lottridge getting an off track. We have a replay of that right here. And oh, I thought he was going to hang on to it, but he couldn't quite get it. And that's going to be a fast repair for Lottridge, unfortunately. And it does not take much with these cars. You can, and one thing I've noticed too is you can feel the back end start to go around. And I personally have found that once you start to feel it, you have to back out of the throttle, because at that point, even if you want to counter steer to catch the slide, if it catches, we have an issue like we saw just right here, and like we saw with Matt Town on our first incident as well. That car is just going to take off whatever direction it's headed. So I don't have the skill to be able to counter steer and catch the slide and keep the car off the wall, so I have to back off the throttle. But either you two gentlemen, if you want to comment on that, please feel free to do so. But we're seeing another instance where it doesn't seem like there's much of a slide to get these cars upset, and you do feel it very early on in the car.
Yeah, once the car's broken traction and it's gone into shopping cart mode, there's very much nothing you can do about it. You are just a passenger at that point. You lock it up and just hope to not hit anything too hard, because yeah, once it's gone, it's gone.
Again, Mike, I'm not taking notes based off of what you're telling me. Not me, not this guy. We're just going to check in with the chat again. Gad, appreciate you chiming in a second time here. Being the only one in the chat makes you feel like the whole broadcast is just for you. Well, we aim to please, my man. We're having fun here. It's just some dudes talking race cars, so and we're glad you're along as well. So we're doing the best we can for you here and hope you're enjoying it. If anybody out there watching does have questions or wants to chime in, please feel free to do so. We check it every so often, try to get to all the comments as best as we can. So appreciate everybody out there watching and coming along with us. Good look here at Dylan Jordan. I'm sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, definitely want to hear from everybody in chat, you know, especially when we're pronouncing Ewin's name wrong. All day long. Wait, I'm joking. You win.
Mike being a rascal again.
I can't help it. Look.
I certainly have no right to say anything. Anybody that listens to the Inside the Majors podcast will know my pronunciation of most drivers' names that are not Smith or Jones tends to be pretty terrible. So yeah, I'll throw no shade on anybody for pronunciation.
Look, it is 3 o'clock in the morning for me, you know, and I am horrible with names like Martin. I don't know.
That's War.
War?
Yeah.
Where do you get War from?
Okay, so for the Australian, New Zealand listeners or watchers who will understand immediately what I'm talking about here, there was two very famous brothers actually who had the surname of War that played cricket. Again, another sport that half of the audience won't even know what that is. But played cricket at a very, very high level. So the name War is very well known down in these parts, certainly for people of my age as well. Maybe there's some people that are young enough around sim racing now that they didn't get to see those international sports stars play. But it's interesting. My wife, for those that don't know, is originally from California. And when we first met, and those two brothers, Mark and Steve War, were playing cricket, she also had absolutely no idea how to pronounce that name when looking at it. And yes, it's a conversation that we still bring up every once in a while, have a laugh about how we had to learn to understand each other, even though we were both speaking, and I'm doing air quotes here, English when we first met. So yes, there you go. There's a small little tale about my life that no one needed to care about, but hey, there you go.
That makes me think I have it a lot easier. My wife is Canadian, and I'm here in the U.S., so the accents are not nearly as strong or as different from each other. So I will never complain about that again, but I will make fun of her for it.
Oh, absolutely.
Checking back in with the chat. I gotta give my guy Iowa Scotsman a shout out. I know exactly who that is. That is one of my teammates. Thanks for hanging out with us. Looking forward to hanging out with you tomorrow as we take on the Americas region. And Mike, you're getting a shout out from Gab. He basically says that if you can pronounce anything at 3 a.m., it's impressive. I concur. It's not quite that late for me. It's just a little bit before midnight where I am located. But you and I, we've worked together on all hours of the morning, going back to the Le Mans 24. So that was, I think we're working together, I think literally every single hour around the clock at some point just this season, which has been a lot of fun. My first as a broadcaster here, so I appreciate everybody's patience with me while I try to figure out what the heck I'm doing. Having a blast along the way, though. So,
look, the way I view it, okay, is we all are. I'm doing this as a race fan. You know, I'm not doing it because I'm good at, you know, these overlays and clicking buttons. I do it because I enjoy racing, and so, you know, I feel like it's like a little podcast for us as the live race is going on, and we're just calling out all the action. You know, as you know, we got a battle here for third place. Cameron Dance, Matthew Pluck.
That was tight there for a second.
Yeah. You know, but sometimes I sit and I wonder, do I even really know what I'm doing? No. Well, maybe. Who knows? All I know is I'm out here calling some awesome racing, hanging out with some really cool guys, amazing people in chat. I mean, what else can get better than that? I'm just saying.
It's fun. It's fun. Checking in with a couple of things that we do want to pay off here. We're having a blast with this conversation, but we do have a race going on as well, so I do want to give a quick update there. It is interesting, before the green flag pit stops, we did note that pretty much the field was all bunched up together in two significant packs. We had the top 6 all together. We had the 34 all on his own, and then we had a big pack of everybody else. But as you see the track overlay now, since the green flag pit stops have taken place, they are pretty well spread out all over this 2.5 mile oval. And I think a lot of that is what Garen referenced earlier, is the entry and exit of pit road and the skill of being able to modulate that pit road speed manually. There is a lot to be gained and lost. And again, a tenth of a second in the pits is worth about 100 feet of racetrack at speed, and so you're seeing that play out. We had a few cars had some issues. We had a couple of black flags, so very interesting to see how that has played out since we have gotten the green flag pit stops under our belt. We are currently 45 laps into the current green flag run. Despite the field spreading out a little bit more, we still have a lot of bunches
55.
of cars together. we're seeing a lot of really good action, like we did see between Dance and I can't make out who that is behind him, but that battle there, we're getting the battles as we see them. Pluck, thanks, Mike. So yeah, it's really interesting to kind of see. Again, this is how the strategies are starting to play out as we get a good look at Dylan Jordan there. Been running in 9th for a while. Taking a look under the 3 car, that is going to be Jason Lottridge, or no, I'm sorry, Dan Stevens, my apologies. Normally Lottridge runs the 3, that's where my mind went, and it does look as though Stevens will yield. That is going to be P8 for for the 21 car, and we'll see if he can get on up to the next group of vehicles before him. A bit of a train form behind Stevens, and this is where we're starting to get into that middle section of the run once again. And if you're Stevens, you see those cars lining up behind you. You don't want to do anything crazy, knowing that you're going to have another opportunity to adjust on the car a little bit, but you also don't want to lose that track position. You're watching your mirrors quite a bit. Great shot of it here. You can see that mirror. He's got that car all over his back bumper. He's going to be watching that mirror as we work our way down the front straightaway. He's going to be looking to see if there's a peak being made. Briggs there looking to the inside, backs out of it, and that is a strategic rather than tactical decision. Garrett, I'm curious what your thoughts are here. When do you want to pull that move off? When do you back out of it from your drive perspective?
What a save!
What you just saw there was that example of when somebody gets right up behind you and you've also got dirty air from the front, the car can start to do some weird and strange things once the air is disturbed at both ends of the car, which is why Briggs got so loose there, trying to make a bit of a run to the inside, and probably had just a bit too much steering lock for when the aero kicked in from the car behind, as well as the car in front in mid-corner. And yeah, it tried to snap on him, but yeah, really great catch.
Great catch, and it comes out of nowhere too. You're planted, and then you're not planted. And those catches, they don't look like much, especially from the outside of the car. But you saw the quick hands there on the wheel, and I guarantee you that got his attention, and that heart rate probably went up a couple of notches.
I think what we're seeing here at the moment with these clusters of cars that we're getting now, this is the, I suppose, the payoff that you have to make. If you choose to stop a few laps earlier than everybody else, you'll get the undercut benefit because the tyre drop-off is so large. When you come back out, you're going to be much faster than everybody else. But as the tyres start to wear, and now others have fresher tyres than what you've got on, they're starting to make up not just the difference that you gained on them from the undercut, but now more by having a long run where they've got a sustained tyre advantage over you. So looking at the timing screen at the moment, a lot of the cars that are catching people, including Connor Nixon for the lead, there's a real correlation between how many laps they've been out there for and what their relative pace is to the cars in front and behind them. So Connor has been consistently 2 to 3 tenths a lap faster than Northway for about the last 15 laps. It's probably been for across the whole stint, basically. And so he's really starting to get to the bumper now. And I would expect would probably find a fairly simple pass here once he gets to the back of Robert, just with this tyre advantage, especially now that it looks like coming to the back of the field, Robert's not going to have the benefit of clear air all the time with these lap cars in front, which is going to, again, make it harder for him to use those older tyres to maintain the pace to stay in the lead.
And to your point, Northway himself only about 7 laps or so away from his second, what would be a green flag stop should we remain green. So, and I'd been watching that gap actually. At one point, I believe it was around 3 seconds when they first came out of the pits. So Nixon's been chipping away, and now all of a sudden we see a battle beginning to develop for the lead, and that's where you just keep working the car, keep driving the laps, and work with what the car is giving you. This is very much a racetrack where you don't want to step over that limit. You just got to work with what the car is giving you, and just be patient. It's a long race. It's going quickly, but it is still a long race. 400 miles around this place is a long ways in a stock car, so you gotta, again, just let it come to you, and that seems to be what is happening with Nixon right now, as he is all over the back of Northway. We got a battle for the lead, fellas.
There's two ways that you can attack this race if you're towards the front, because if you're one of the front runners as going for the inside here, don't think Northway's even going to attempt to fight this one out. He knows that there's an advantage in the cars here, and so lets him go by. If you're a front runner, because this is a circuit where if you're at the front of the pack, you can pit and under green flag conditions and not go a lap down. It gives you the opportunity to try and run this race either on fuel or tyres. With the significant drop-off in the tyre performance over the length of a stint, you might choose to have an extra pit stop in your race, which means that you're not running those last few laps of every stint on a really old tyre and giving up time, and try and take the benefit of undercutting every time, and try and run the race. That way it may work out to be faster. That will only work if it stays green the whole time. If you're caught out of position when a yellow flag comes out, then obviously you're going to get caught in the wrong place at the wrong time and can potentially give up a lot of track position. But like I said, if you're at the very front and you can keep doing it without going a lap down, it does give you the option to do that. For anybody at the moment who's third on backwards, once you get to 4 or 5 seconds behind the leader, if you pit, you will come out behind them and put yourself in that danger zone where you could go a lap down if a yellow comes out before you get back on in front of the leader on the track. So maybe Robert and Connor have picked two different ways of attacking this race, and we might see Robert pit early again, or a couple of laps early again at the end of this stint, and he's going to try and make this even stints on tyres to the end of the race from now on, rather than even stints on fuel.
And to your point that you brought up earlier, he is starting to slowly get into lap traffic. There are 25 cars currently on the lead lap. And if you are one of those guys that does come out and you are a lap down, that's a potential big loss if the caution falls at the wrong point. And so it is very much a gamble, calculated risk, whatever term you want to use. But it is interesting to watch how these strategies are unfolding. It almost seems as though the undercut might be a slow death, but again, that all boils down to what you're getting out of the car, what you're able to achieve on track. And even though he lost the lead, Northway's still in a good spot. He's still running second. He's not that far away from a pit stop, and that'll kind of even things out a little bit. And then that advantage will swing back to him. So it'll be a bit of an ebb and flow as this race plays out. And the cautions will inevitably come into play here. I'm sure we're not done with the yellows quite yet. Still a very long ways to go in this race. We're only about a third of the way through. So again, the strategy part of it, I love the strategy just as much as I love the actual side-by-side racing. I'm not as good as explaining it or picking up on it as Garen has been, so I'm very grateful that he's here to kind of spell that out for us. And Northway's in as he's coming down to the pits, locking up that tire. I don't know if he got down to the speed limit. He did a nice job to not lose the car there. You saw that back end wiggle quite a bit.
No black flag. He's got it down to speed.
No black flag. He brought it down, and that is that skill you were talking about, Garen, where some of these drivers, they have that ability to get everything they possibly can on these pit entries, and I think he got just about every inch he could have on that one.
There's going to be quite a cycle of stop starting here shortly, so I'll just make one more point about Northway before we inevitably move to other people in the field. Knowing Robert the way that I do, and what his focus is and has been in previous years, one of the things that he will also be considering, I'm sure, in this race is that Connor Nixon is not a point scorer for this round. He's not a season pass holder with the major series, and so would actually not be taking points away if Connor was the only person to beat Northway in this race. So with everything in international being so tight as far as the championship standings is concerned, it could actually also be that Robert isn't even looking at Connor. He's actually looking backwards at his championship rivals and judging his race and what his strategy is based on where he is relative to them, rather than just the race lead.
That's a great point as well. Not unlike, say, the NASCAR O'Reilly Series, when a Cup driver comes down, does one of those races, that leading series regular not going to fight that Cup driver too terribly hard, understanding the bigger picture here. And Northway is a very cerebral driver. He is going to be very aware of those scenarios. He's aware of where his championship rivals are behind him. To your point, Garen, it is worth noting he pitted a couple of laps earlier than he necessarily needed to. He could have gone, my math tells me he could have gone all the way to lap 69. He came in on lap 65. I'm almost wondering if he might be having some kind of like a handling issue where he wanted to get fresh rubber on there. You kind of referenced that earlier as well, but it also could be a more of a holistic approach to the race itself, just because again, 30, if he's just doing an easy 35 laps per stint, that should put him in the window of being able to do this thing on, I believe, 3 or 4 more stops. So it could be also scenario 2 where if everybody has to make those same amount of stops, there's no point in staying out on that old rubber. You may as well just come in, take your tires, and get back to it. But he is on a bit of an alternate strategy to the rest. So again, we're just gonna have to wait and see how that plays out, and it'll be fascinating to look at down the stretch as this race continues to unfold.
If it was to stay green, and I certainly don't want to put the commentator's curse on this, but I would be extraordinarily surprised if this race ran green all the way to the end. But one of the things that I'm looking at is that I think Robert would have to stop 2 more times, even after that stop he's just had, to get to the end. I think most of the others towards the front of the field might be able to stretch this and get home on 2 more stops from here, if they were to run their tanks out all the way to the end every single time. So if it stays green, there's going to be quite a strategy difference between what Northway is doing compared to what some others are doing, and we're going to see how that all comes together when we get to the end.
If it stays green, and of course if that yellow comes out, all this talk goes out the window anyway. So it just goes to show you, again, we say it every round, these drivers managing a lot from the cockpits of these race cars. They're thinking about a lot of things, and they're also driving these NASCAR Cup cars at the limit of their performance while they're juggling all this information. Field is pretty spread out at this point. We are a good long ways into this green flag run. We're about 60 laps into a green flag run here. So good long run for everybody here. There, as we have been watching, I believe the 511 here as we are working our way through turns. Let me get my bearings. I've been taking a lot of notes. My apologies. That was off turn 4. We're working our way down the start-finish straightaway. We have, Garen, you mentioned Northway actually being aware of his championship rivals. Do you want to talk about the championship standings as we are currently in round 8? Because we're starting to get down to the wire here a little bit. That's something that we're going to start really paying attention to.
Yeah, so international is by far the closest region as far as having so many people at the pointy end of the standings at the moment. We've got 7 drivers all within 100 points, which is a fairly realistic points gap to be able to turn over in 3 or 4 races in the major series. And those 7 drivers are actually, funnily enough, all pretty much towards the front end of this race. As I said, Nixon isn't part of that group, but and this is in championship order, those 7 are Hinds, Baker, Doughty, Northway, Dance, Pluck and Stevens. And if you have a look at the current leaderboard, obviously with Northway not quite at the front because he's out of sequence, but you've got Pluck in 2nd, Dance in 3rd, Hinds in 4th, Baker 5th, Doughty 6th. Stevens currently a little bit behind the rest of the championship rivals in 13th, but yeah, they're all there or thereabouts. And so when you're running around your championship rivals, Does that give them more of an incentive to try and make a pass? Do they not want to be the one that makes the mistake and falls out of the group because they're all going to finish close to each other? So there's not going to be a huge, a huge benefit for anybody if they're all finishing somewhere near each other. Are they even considering it? Do they not care? They're just trying to get on a podium or get a win. They could all be thinking about it in lots of different ways, but it's certainly interesting for those of us watching from the outside to see how that's all playing out. So, if things stay the way that they are now, we'll certainly go on to the next round still with all 7 of those very much in contention and very close at the top of the standings.
Seeing Northway making good use of those fresh tires, getting by those 2 cars. Northway currently up to 15th after pitting. So again, we're just kind of waiting to see how everything cycles through. We are seeing a trickle of cars coming in. Stevens on lap 71. And then a couple other cars here and there. We're not quite ready for the big influx of cars coming in quite yet. I suspect that's going to be another we'll call it 3 to 7 laps. I think will be when the window opens and when the cycle begins in earnest. So we'll just keep an eye on that. Mike's going to have that info for you. Mike is soldiering on. He told me, and I'm sorry if I'm sharing too much here, but he told me he's not feeling the greatest, so he is soldiering on. So he'll duck in and out as he has the energy to do so. But in the meantime, he's hard at work behind the scenes, getting you all of these images here that you are seeing on track. As we're standing by for these pit stops beginning here, Garen, what do you prefer here at Indianapolis? Do you like the stock car? Do you prefer IndyCar, or do you just not have a preference? You just kind of go wherever the series takes you. Like where do you fall in this range?
Personally, and with my abilities, I prefer cars that have lots of downforce and that don't spin up the rear tyres because I don't have much throttle control. So cars that give me some help in those regards are normally the ones that I will go for. So the NASCAR doesn't fit either of those, downforce or self or having traction control at the rear. So I do what I can in these things, but it's certainly not where I would consider that my strengths lie. As far as qualifying for this week went, I seem to have qualified okay for the races that I'll have in Europe and Americas, but that's a lot more setup driven than potentially driver skills. So we'll see whether I can maintain any sort of front running positions as the race goes on, and the people with far more talent and ability than me tend to come through. So this isn't exactly the car track combination that I would choose, but we'll have fun doing it anyway.
Big wiggle there for one of the cars coming into the pits. I don't think it's who we're looking at right now. It was
Adam Johnson was the one that had all 4 burning on the way in there. Yeah,
yeah, there he is right there, down and away, serviced and sent. He'll be exiting. But I think every cycle that we've had so far, we've had several cars struggle with that pit entry, and again, just very, very difficult to get these cars. It's a very tricky pit entry. I think I practiced this entry no less than 24 times, I believe, and I think I've gotten it right about 4. So it's very, very difficult. I know for my race, being conservative for me will be the way to go because I don't have that skill, like Garrett was talking about a little while ago. But a good look at Adam Johnson there in the Kingsman 29 machine, and we're going to get a replay here. As you can see right there, he just comes off, gets on the brakes, and the rears just completely light up. He was busy inside that cockpit. You saw those hands twitching there for a second. He did have some contact with the outside wall. I don't think he's going to take too much damage from that, though. I think he's going to be able to continue without using a fast repair. These next gen cars, very robust. They can take a glancing blow like that and continue on. As we see Johnson here on track. Thomas Hintz currently 3rd, coming into the pits from that 3rd place position, as I think we're starting to see the window really wide open now at this point as we are serving lap 77. Matthew Pluck is your leader currently through this cycle of stops. Baker in the 34 in 2nd. Those 2 guys have not yet stopped. Northway, let's check in to see where he is at. Not seeing him on our pylon currently. There he is on screen. Currently 12th, working his way back through the field, cycling back around as pit stops are now really underway. And as we see Northway working his way around, that was Hutchinson there that I just saw the car number briefly. Again, seeing these two strategies that we're seeing converge as Baker is in the pits, surrendering second place to come down and get his service. That will elevate Dowdy up to second.
So both Baker and Hinz have gone 38 laps on that green flag run, which would mean that the go-to number to get home on 2 stops would be lap 84, if my maths is correct. Now, we're 7 laps away from that at the moment, so I'm interested to see if anybody can get to that lap number 84, so they'd be able to, in theory, run home on two more stops from there.
One guy that might be able to, Michael Hogg. We talked about him a little while ago, but he's unfortunately currently a lap down. Looks like he's down in the 29th position. But pitting early on, or pitting late in that caution has allowed him to stay out a little bit longer than the others. We'll have to see if he's able to make it that far, but again, he's so far down the running order, I'm not sure how that's going to have an effect on the actual overall finish of his event. So, but that is something worth keeping an eye on, as Heath Mannering is now in the pits as well.
And actually, speaking of Mannering, just to contradict myself, Mannering went 40 laps in that run, so that in theory would make the get home lap 80 if you could run 40 lap stints. So maybe there's a couple that if they really get into the fuel save and commit to it from the very beginning of stint number 3, they could get home.
40 laps on a single tank of fuel, that is a monster stint. So really impressive job by Mannering there, saving fuel. That we're at Indianapolis. We'll reference IndyCar. That's a Scott Dixon level of fuel save right there for sure. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and see where he comes in. It's worth noting that this is lap number 80 as he comes back out. And gentlemen, we are officially halfway home already. Again, a race that has absolutely flown by. So we're in the second half officially of this race.
Of course, that means that everybody scores points by reaching 50% race distance. So everybody, with the exception of Gavin Cox, who didn't take the start, will get points for competing in the race. So
always good to see that. We had a good turnout this time too. A full 32 car field. 32 cars actually took the green. I believe there were 39 who registered. So a nice turnout here in the international region. Nice full field here at Indianapolis. Single split for this go around. European, of course, will be taken off here in just a little bit, a few hours from now. And then, of course, the Americas region. They did split. I believe they have 2 splits for their event. And they'll be going later on tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, if memory serves me correctly, as our race leader is in Pluck for his stop. That elevates Dowdy to first and Northway in second. Now, here's where I'm really curious to see what this is going to look like, because Northway eventually did run down the lead car in that instance. I do believe it was, as we have an incident off of turn 4, the 115 is on the inside wall, and we have our second caution of the day. That's going to be Stuart Elder. Just missed the end of that pit road wall, which had just absolutely been a catastrophic destroying of his car, and he's going to tow to the pits. That is likely going to be a fast repair use for him, as we have a replay. This is coming off of turn 4. I think he was trying to come down into the pits, and I think when he maybe got on the brakes a little bit harder trying to make the speed, the car just kind of came around on him. Is the only thing I can guess there?
Yeah, it was lap 38 since last pit stop for the 115. So I'd say definitely trying to get to pit road. It's just gone a bit wrong. And like I said, once they go into shopping cart mode, there's not a lot you can do about it. And I'm not sure who this is that flashes past. Woo. I think that was Dowdy. I think that was the race leader. Wow, that is a real...
Yes.
That is a code brown right there.
Dowdy did have a little bit of contact with that inside wall. This is going to be a great shot here from the onboard. You can see Elder up ahead. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's not fine. And, oh, man. Yeah. The contact does not look that bad from the onboard. I said earlier, these next gen cars, they're pretty robust. I think he's going to be okay. Definitely taking stock of that, but this caution, gentlemen, shakes up a lot of things here. So as we see Dowdy coming in, we'll have to see who's coming in behind him. Going to be a bit of a mixed bag. I almost think, Garen, if it's been more than about 7 laps since you've pitted, I think you have to come. North Bay, Nixon, Hutchinson, and
So
I believe Pluck's get out.
First to stay out's Pluck, who was only he was on his out lap when the yellow came out. Baker also staying out, having only done 4 laps since the stop when the yellow came out. The fact that so many people are coming in one respect, is actually a bit of a save as far as Doughty's concerned, because it's just gone from, hey, I might be the only car that can make it on fuel if this runs green, to now suddenly that's all thrown out the window. Basically, everybody's back on the same strategy again. Those extra laps that he'd run and that fuel advantage that he had is gone. But by so many people also having to come and pit because they had done enough laps at their tyres, they need to come and get a new set. He's going to maintain a track position somewhere towards the front for this restart. So I think if that yellow had come out 3 or 4 laps earlier, I think that would have been really detrimental to Dowdy, because a lot more cars would have stayed out then rather than coming to pit lane again. So could have found himself buried. If it had stayed green, he could have found himself as the winner by making it on one less stop than everybody else. Now
Why
he's
is
going to have to go and get the
Bathroom
elbows
break.
out.
Bathroom break, I bet. That's a bathroom break.
Well, I guess we're going to have a last to first challenge here.
Well, he will actually get to keep his spot. I don't even know if they can hear me. Yeah, they can hear me. Yeah, so he'll actually get to keep his spot because he's stopped on track. So when he starts moving again, he'll just tell him to go back to where he was position-wise. So once he starts moving,
Little craftiness. Race Control did actually ask him. I'm here in the session here. He did not respond, which does lend some credence to our theory about needing a bit of a restroom break. These are long races. You get thirsty. You do need to hydrate. You need to kind of fuel your body, even though you are just sitting in a chair. You're exerting a lot of energy, so it happens. We're all humans, right? So we're getting some wave rounds here. These are going to be cars that pitted right before the caution came out. It's worth noting that Heath Mannering was awarded the lucky dog, but we see several cars doing the wave around. And the way this works very briefly is if you are between the pace car and the leader when the caution comes out, if you do not pit on the last lap of the caution, you will get that wave around. You'll be able to essentially get your lap back, circulate around, and join the end of the field as they are forming up double wide. It looks like we're getting close to going back to green here, fellas.
Just a shout out to a teammate of mine talking about bathroom breaks under yellow. A Daytona 500 in the majors several years ago, I believe it was a second split. Teammate of mine actually managed to get the entire field to agree to stop in the pit lane, in the non-working lane, so that everybody could go and have a bathroom break and then they could finish the race. So shout out to my teammate who knows who he is.
I think if we do
awesome.
the 600 again, I think if we do the 600 again, we need to do that, like, legitimately.
halfway point.
ARCA style.
Yeah. Yeah, so Robert Northway, he will come back and take over that 7th position on track. So, but pace car is getting ready to pull off here, and we're getting ready to go green flag for only the 3rd time here today, as Matthew Pluck and Ewan Baker will bring the field back. No, lights are back on. Dang it! Come on, I got all excited there.
Yeah.
Man.
Yep. Adding one more lap. Race control electing to add a lap. They did not like the fact that the wave around cars were not quite caught back up. So, as always here in the Major Series, we do have live stewards, live race control. So they have made the decision to allow those wave around cars to catch back up. So, Mike, it's going to let you get yourself all teed up and ready to bring us back down to the green, which we will absolutely let you do here.
Yeah.
Before we do that, though, a little bit of trivia for you. Indy is known for its traditions. Kissing the bricks, one of the biggest ones. Did you know that that has its origins not in IndyCar, but right here in NASCAR? Was that something that you were aware of?
I feel like I did, because I know, like, for the Indianapolis 500, I know their biggest thing was the milk. So I think kissing the bricks, it won't surprise me.
1996, Dale Jarrett and his crew chief Todd Parrott, they were looking for a unique way to celebrate the win that paid homage to the track but didn't take away from the already existing traditions, and they said, let's go kiss the bricks. And just like that, a tradition was formed. The first of 2 Brickyard 400s that Dale Jarrett enjoyed, the second one coming in 1999. So there you go, a little bit of trivia there for you, Mike. But enough of that silliness. We're getting ready to go back green. Mike, you did such a great job last time when they waved it off. We're not going to rob you. Take it away, my friend.
Heck yeah, here we go. The iRacing.com pace car getting ready to pull off here once more. Matthew Pluck, Ewan Baker going to bring the field into the restart zone, as Dylan Jordan and Ryan Steele will join them on the second row. We are green flag racing once again here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Matthew Pluck getting a decent jump there, and here comes Dylan Jordan working on the inside of Ewan Baker as they dive down here into turn at number 1 here for the first time on this third restart, as we have trouble in the back. Wait, did they just...
They saved it.
They just saved that. What?
We have one car with pretty strong splitter damage. The 512 calling in a protest to race control. We'll have to get a replay of that, but wow.
All right, so we're going to come back here. Yeah, so we're going to come back here to the start, because I don't like backing it up like the way I do, because it just doesn't look professional. But here they come, diving down here into turn number 1, 3 wide, bing, bang, boom, slipped up the track for the 46, and that's that dirty air that we were talking about. But we had about 4 or 5 cars there get damage on the front end of their cars due to that small slippage there, but they saved it. That's just absolutely impressive.
That's fantastic.
It might have started as air slippage, but I think it very quickly became chrome horn more than anything else from the cars behind, who had no idea what was going on with the cars checking up in front and had nowhere to go either. So the fact that it bounced everybody else back into line and everybody carried on, it's maybe not a miracle, but it must be pretty close.
Really, really nice job by everybody there. There was a call sent out to race control to have something looked at, so I can say that was from Nixon. So we'll have to keep an eye on any action that might be taken from race control. There is a car that had a splitter that was pretty well damaged, and given that we're seeing Dan Stevens in the pits, my money would be that that is on him, and you gotta have that splitter intact. You gotta have the downforce here, so he's going to be struggling here trying to get that damage repaired. Unfortunately for him, that's a race gone a bit sideways. That was exciting, boys. That got pretty hairy for a minute.
All right, so
I don't think it's over yet either.
yeah, definitely not over yet. Gabe, or Gab, you said we're going to have to explain the milk. So in the Indianapolis 500 back in 1936, Lewis Mayer drank buttermilk milk in Victory Lane after claiming his third Indy 500 victory. Per his mother's advice to help, stay refreshed on hot days. So, a news photo captured the moment and put it in the newspaper, and local dairy industry, they just made it a pitch of making a permanent award. So now drivers who win the Indy 500, they get to choose between whole milk, 2% skim milk, with whole milk usually the most popular choice. And I'm sure if there's a driver out there that is, a little bit lactose intolerant, I'm sure that they can use like almond milk or something as a substitute there. But that is how the milk tradition formed in the Indy 500. And by the way, the only milk that is drank is actually chosen from the Indiana dairy farmers, which is hand delivered the bottles to the winning driver.
Actually, add one more piece to that story too, Mike, and that is chocolate milk has also been added as an option to drivers in the last couple of decades, yet no driver that has chosen chocolate milk has ever won the race.
I'll add a couple of other little tidbits to that. It was not Meyer's first time drinking milk after winning the 500. After his second victory, I believe that would have been in 1933. Somebody fact check me on that. But he did drink milk then, but there was no camera around to catch it. The camera happened to catch it in his 36 victory that Mike talked about. And the Dairy Association saw a marketing opportunity. Another fun little tidbit there is when you see the Indy 500 winner get the milk, there are two people from the Dairy Association. One is called the veteran, the other one's called the rookie. The rookie hands the bottle of milk to the team owner, and they hand the bottle of milk to the veteran. The veteran is the one who then turns and hands that bottle to the winning driver, and then the following year the rookie then becomes the veteran, and they're the ones to have the honor of giving the milk to the driver. As we have a spin on track, 39 is around. I did see on my alternate screen there was somebody cutting across the access road trying to come back onto the racetrack. I'm going to guess that is what we're about to see here. Big moment there for Martin Waugh. Really nice job catching the car, coming back up, and round she goes again. Oh, man. And he turned himself into a sacrificial lamb to avoid that car that was coming out of the pits. That's going to be some heavy damage. Elder. Yeah, Elder coming out after his earlier issues.
So Martin came down, used his fast repair, and now he's going to... or he hasn't come down pit road yet, but he is coming down pit road now. I believe he will use that fast repair now and then get back out there.
And it's worth noting, car 39 did just call out the incident, so race control is going to take a look at that. Want to pay off the 512 incident as well. Race control has deemed that that is a racing incident with no further action forthcoming, so we are clear there. No penalties for that particular incident. While you were talking about the Indy 500 milk, gentlemen, I was watching this battle that we see on screen. Jordan in second, under, I'm not going to say he's under attack, but he's being stalked by our buddy Ian Baker there. The 34, as they have a little bit of contact with the 313. I think Baker trying to go defensive, but the 313 was already there. And we are going to have a side-by-side battle here.
More contact. More contact.
We're not done.
This is getting tasty.
It's almost like we're in the second half of the race here, boys.
Oh man, we're going to see a crash right here. I have that feeling. They both slide up the track, and here comes everybody else on the attack.
And what this is doing, you just said it, Mike, it's making them vulnerable to everybody behind them. A big block thrown by the 313 there. Dowdy just blocking everybody here.
Oh, yeah. Baker's probably not too happy at the moment, as he is now on the attack on Connor Nixon here. And Nixon, he's going to have to try to work his way around the outside. Oh, man, this is close.
I got to be honest with you both. I have not seen cars be able to hold it on the outside like we have seen in this race. It's pretty impressive to watch as he went from the outside down to the inside, took that elevator ride from top to bottom, and it kind of cut off Baker there, and you can see immediately a bit of a gap developed, and that is tied directly to the dirty air that we've talked about so many times. So this is fun, boys. I could watch this all day.
Oh, heck yeah.
I think the pass on the outside is working whilst both parties are playing along. I think the closer this gets to the end, you might find less and less drivers are willing to actually give the space and play the game to allow the car on the outside to A, survive, and B, get around. So might see that less and less as we get closer to the end.
The balance of the give account is getting very low, and it's only going to continue to drain as this race continues.
Man, that got intense there real quick.
Just while we were talking about that too, the stewards have come back on the Martin War protest, saying no further action. I'd say both with the 512 and potentially the 39 car, the drivers may not have actually even been aware that the rear let go on its own. From the driver's seat and without the ability to be able to watch a replay from in the car, quite often it can feel like you got a touch from on the inside of your rear, which is what sent you around, when really it was just the traction gave up, and that's what actually turned the car. So wouldn't surprise you if both of those drivers actually thought that there was contact, when really it was just the rears said enough's enough.
Yeah. And sometimes that just happens here at Indy, you know, especially once you get further into these runs. I mean, they last came down back on lap 80, 82. Some drivers back on lap 73. So, you know, a lot of them, they're coming up on those 20 lap old tire moments, and the tires start to give way, you know, as these runs go on. So that's something that these drivers have to keep in mind as well. But yeah,
We're looking at Ryan Steele right here. Started deep in the field, having a real quiet day, but just all of a sudden finds himself in fourth. Now, some of that was likely the benefit of where he was in the pit cycle when the caution came out that last go around, but we did talk about him earlier in the race. He got all the way up to P10 on the first run of this race, as Cam James is in the pits here. But quick shout out to him, solidly in the top 5, running in that 4th position, doing a great job, having a really nice day so far.
yeah, absolutely. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm kind of sad that Ewan Baker and who was it, Dottie, are no longer side by side, because that was getting good.
Even though the offset was only 4 or 5 laps on the tyres, I think that's what we're starting to see play out now. Ewan, one of the drivers that stayed out, I believe Robert Henry might have been another one, where they started at the green flag a little higher up, and towards the front they're starting to slide back down now, which is credit to Matthew Pluck, who was also one of those cars that didn't come in at the start at the caution, but still actually has managed to stay at the front of the pack. So you're doing a great job.
And as the tires begin to wear out, what these drivers are going to experience, or at least what I've been experiencing with my practice runs, is on entry of turn 1, the car is going to get progressively tighter, which means you're going to have to back that corner up a little bit more. And then critically on the exit of turn 2, the car develops a bit of a loose condition where the back end wants to step out, and we've seen that several times today. And then 3 and 4, it's usually fairly stable through there, but you got to be careful on the entry to 3. Again, just going back to what we talked about earlier in the race, how every corner you have to handle it completely different. But what happens is you have to back out of the throttle just that baby little bit. You have to add that extra little touch of brake. You got to wait that extra half a beat before you get on throttle on exit. And all of that adds up to a slower lap time, because the only way to keep these cars on track as these tires wear out and as you lose that grip is to slow the car down ever so slightly. And what we're seeing here is the difference there between who can manage those tires, who has the better grip, and frankly, who has the skill to hang on to it, who can take care of them, and we're seeing it play out right before our eyes.
About to come and complete lap 100, 250 miles of the 400 at the end of this lap.
Heath Mannering got the lucky dog. You saw him there on your screen, current 16. No, you're good, Mike. Matthew Pluck holding the lead to the point that Mike just made a minute ago. Didn't stayed out on that last caution, but still holding serve. Now what we're gonna have to wait and see if that tire deck starts to come into play here. But he has a nice gap here. The other side of it too is the fuel, as we do have those differentials from the fuel. Everybody's going to be pretty much in the same window, except for those cars that did stay out before the caution came out, but they did a lot of fuel save during that caution, so even they are likely within the same window. It's just a matter of who's going to come to the pits when for those last couple of stops in this race. We did see the Jake Foxes on there. I'm not sure if that in the pits, excuse me. I'm not sure if that's for a incident or if he's taking regular service. We'll have to follow up on that and pay that off here in a little bit. I'm also getting a message that Paul McKenzie is coming into the pits as well, so it seems a bit early, but for those that did hit on the lap 71 to 73 time range, we are kind of in that window. It's a little early than I was expecting, but we got cars coming in.
The cars coming in now will be the cars that had to take the wave by at the last caution to get back onto the lead lap. So they would have been taking that wave around, getting it back onto the back end of the lead lap, and then hoping for another caution soon after, which would then enable them to come in and then take service. So I think that's the cars that are coming into the pit lane now, those that couldn't take service to get their lap back at the last caution.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to take credit for Garen talking about Pluck staying out. You know, I don't want to take the credit for that, even though it's nice, but I should give Garen some credit here and there, you know?
Yeah, he works hard. He deserves it, and you should absolutely call me out when I misidentify something. So thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah. You know, and with that being said, Garen, you know, we appreciate everything that you do here for the major series, and you know, making sure all this stuff goes off without a hitch. And you know, we had a hitch, you know, before this race got underway with our race session, but you were able to get it done, taken care of, right people communicating. And Garen, I give you major props for everything you do, so thank you so much for everything that you do. And you know, I'm absolutely glad to be here.
Well, look, credit to Lynn Kinchlow, who actually solved that problem that we had earlier. But yeah, we're a community, we're a group of people. As I say every time I get the chance, you know, the majors is about preparation and participation, and it's great to have people participating in all areas of the majors, whether that's broadcasting, stewarding, you know, overall administration of the series as a whole. Yeah, it's great that everybody comes together and you know, can put on a series like this and races like this, so that yeah, we all get to come and, you know, play pretend race cars.
Battle for fifth starting to heat up here. Nixon looking at Steele, just kind of stalking him, peeking around, trying to get a run generated. Garrett, I did want to pay that off for a second. We've had a couple of issues here with the last round of the MEC, with the water issue, the issue we had today. Do you guys have, on the competition committee, do you have any kind of contingency plans, or is it just kind of, hey, this is what we're going to do? Like when we run into issues, because they're fixed so quickly, so smoothly, like you got to have a plan in place as We see Nixon pulling alongside Steele. I think he's going to get the move done here into turn 3. And he does. Steele's going to slot in behind him. But yeah, Garrett, do you have, like, is that a pre-planned checklist that you guys have? Or is it just kind of, hey, let's just do this and see what happens? Like what's that process look like when these issues do arise?
Look, planning to have a plan is not a plan. But quite often when the stuff that goes wrong, we don't have a plan necessarily in place for it. And I'll use the MEC split 2 red flag as an example. We thought that the weather system for iRacing wouldn't ever get to the point where it was genuinely unraceable, but we had a race where that was the case. And so we needed to stop that race and basically restart it again in a different server where the track wasn't 17 feet underwater. Now, no, we didn't have a process in place for what happens if we need to stop the race. Now we do now, but yeah, we didn't. And so, look, sometimes we're not ready for some of the things that go wrong, and it's a case of whoever's around and whoever's able, pitching in, coming up with a solution really, really fast. As far as MEC is concerned, I've got a great team that I get to work with from the race direction and race administration side. We came up with a quick solution for that, and we now have plans in place for if it was to ever happen again. But same with today, it was just a case of needing a couple of competition committee members to come in and rebuild a session for us because, yes, there was a little bit of a boo-boo in the other one, which we needed to junk it off. So, yeah, it's just a case of people being around, people being available and getting in and getting stuff done. And we would prefer for those things to not happen. And, obviously it sometimes inconveniences, the drivers who are the major series customers, and we don't forget that. So we prefer for that to not happen, but, we appreciate their patience and understanding and acceptance of what it is that we come up with in those circumstances where things do go a bit awry. So, yeah, it's about having people around that are willing to just get in and fix whatever needs fixing.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things with, with you guys, and as admins, like you said, you don't want to see these things happen, but at the same time, you want to see them happen because now you can put a plan, in place in case if this happens. And one of the things I absolutely love about you guys, the admins of the major series, is when something does go wrong, you guys aren't like all panicky, trying to freak out and this, that, the other. And it's like, all right, guys, so this is what we got to do. Let's do it. And just your guys' calmness is able to resolve these issues so quick. And that's one of the things I absolutely love about the major series.
One thing
something interesting has just occurred where Northway has decided to pit after 25 laps, committing himself to one more stop to the end from here, where I think everybody else is pushing on to try and make it also one more stop from here on fuel. So this, again, Northway's decided to take himself off strategy and go the aggressive route and the undercut on fresh tyres to see if he can push forward that way.
I kind of like this strategy, to be honest with you, though, Garen. He'd been sitting there in 7th place, not really going anywhere since the restart. So if you do everything that everybody else does, you're not going to get where you want to go. So try something different. He's got... I like this call, personally. I think it's an interesting decision, but I do like this call. So I did want to call that out, so I appreciate you sharing it here. But I do just want to echo what Mike said about the competition committee. You mentioned Lynn Kinchlow, another one of my teammates. Great dude. We're lucky to have him over on Unorthodox Motorsports. Love having him there. Really good guy. And your team as a whole, and for anybody out there who's thinking about maybe joining us here at the Major Series, things like what Garen is describing, things like the competition committee, his team, it's not just you show up and drive and that's it. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. There are a lot of parameters that are set forth, a lot of requirements from the driver's side of it, but it all goes into making the majors such an awesome series to be a part of. And one thing that is universal from from Mike Willett all the way down to every single member of the competition committee is that they listen to the input from these drivers. They understand that sometimes they're going to make decisions drivers don't like, but they do honestly want the feedback from the drivers, and they do base their decisions based off of that, because at the end of the day, it is the drivers who make this series what it is with the on-track products. So just, again, big shout out to you, Garen, your team, and Mike, and the whole competition committee. And if you guys like what you're seeing on track, come on out and hang out with us. We're always looking for new drivers, so so come see what it's all about. Getting back to the race itself, though, we're kind of in a bit of a no man's land, with the exception of Northway and a couple of other stragglers. We don't really have a lot of action in the pits yet. We're just kind of circulating here, running the laps out until we get to the planned pit stop distance. We did see Steele, who was at once upon a time running fourth. He has fallen back to sixth. He surrendered another spot to the 34. In this particular instance, a quick rundown of the field as it stands at the moment before the stops really begin in earnest. Matthew Pluck continues to lead. 21 of Jordan currently running in second place. Dowdy in the 313 in third. Nixon fourth. Baker rounding out your top five. The aforementioned Steele in P6. And then Cam Dance in seventh, having a real quiet day. Haven't mentioned him hardly at all since the early going. Currently in seventh place. In the eighth position, that name is so small I can't quite make it out. That's going to be Henry in the 5 car. P9 belongs to Hintz in the 52, and rounding out your top 10 is Briggs. Here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, good look at the 511 machine there circulating as we have some side-by-side action. This is going to be Steele versus Baker, take 2. Baker got by him at one point in time. Steele must have run him back down. As we have side-by-side action, you can see Baker kind of just easing the car off of that white line that Mike was talking about earlier on. That is a product of driving as hard as you can on what are now getting to be pretty old tires. Good job by both drivers to avoid contact with each other. Steele giving him just enough room to be able to navigate safely. Steele also doing a really nice job holding the outside as this battle continues to rage. These guys tangled up earlier, well, not tangled up, but they engaged in battle earlier. As they do tangle there, a little bit of side-to-side contact between the two of them as we work our way through the short chute, as Steele just kisses that safer barrier on the exit of 2. That's going to give Baker the spot as they work their way down the back straightaway. We're serving lap 114. We're starting to get down towards the back end of this race, the final third. Yet another majors event that has just absolutely flown by. Been really entertaining. These drivers putting on a great show. A lot of things to talk about. The diverging strategies there for a little while. The yellows coming out when they did. And then just kind of hanging out with my guys Mike and Garen here, having a lot of fun. We had some fun with the chat here a little while ago, and yeah, we're just kind of counting down the laps until this next cycle of pit stops really begins in earnest, and then we're going to see that diverging strategy from Northway in particular to these leaders that we're currently watching at the moment here at the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
One point to make about Northway's early stop, it looks like he's only taken right side tyres in that stop as well. Now, whilst the undercut benefit is playing out, it's nowhere near the increase in lap pace compared to those that haven't stopped yet, as it was when we saw him do this strategy earlier. So it may or may not be working out exactly the way that he'd hoped. Obviously, the pit stop was shorter by only taking 2 tyres instead of 4, but the lap speed difference between himself and those at the front of the pack is not as large as it possibly would have been had he chosen to take 4. So, yeah, again, be interesting to see how this plays out, but he's not marching forward as quickly as I would have expected for somebody who was doing the undercut.
I'm wondering, Garen, if by only taking 2 tires, if he's doing almost kind of like an elongated splash and dash now, knowing he's not going to make it on one more stop, take the medicine now, as it were, and then when he makes that final stop, get the full fuel, go ahead and get those fresh tires, and then you can run to the finish. I wonder if that might be his mindset here.
Possibly, and by doing it that way, it does mean that if a yellow comes out at the right time, essentially you get the benefit of having already taken the splash, and so in a sense negate the time loss for that, whereas everybody else would still have to pit as well. I do think though, committing to stopping one more time than everybody else, if this runs green, I think he may find himself a bit hung out to dry. Or there's something that he knows that I don't, which is entirely possible and in fact likely. So yeah, one way or another, it'll be great to talk to him and find out afterwards why or what was going through his mind when he made these decisions.
He is currently the last car on the lead lap in the 16th position, and on the one hand, I'm a little surprised that we have so many cars a lap down given the lack of attrition in this race. But on the other hand, we have had a lot of green flag running, but we haven't seen the leaders actually in lap traffic very much. So that part of it does kind of surprise me just a little bit. If we look at our track map as well, we are more or less back to where we're not fully spread out. There are a few gaps out there on the racetrack at the moment, but it's getting to the point where the track is pretty well full of cars that are just spread out here. So again, the cars have been pretty well stuck together. It's taken them a very long time to get super spread out. What that has done is it's allowed us to see some really, really good passes, really good battles throughout the day. Currently, we are on our 35th lap, if my math is correct, which means even those takers that did come down for service during that caution, we're going to be seeing them in the pits here in the next probably 2 to 5 laps, somewhere in that range, and that's when we're going to see North May begin to make his way back through the field. Curious to see where he was, where he cycles in. He was 7th when he made his stop, so we'll have to keep an eye on where he ends up after this cycle. One thing I've noticed too, or I'm curious to get either of your guys' thoughts about, is the behavior of this next gen car here in iRacing compared to what we saw at the actual real world 500 or 400, excuse me, a few weeks back. Now, when the next gen made its debut, the Major Series actually ran their Daytona 500 before the real world Daytona 500 took place, and I was struck by how realistic the next gen car was, how right they got it here in iRacing compared to the real world Daytona 500. Here for the Brickyard 400 though, I'm seeing a little bit more action than I kind of what I may have thought, because the real world Brickyard 400, a lot of nose to tail. If you got within about 6/10 of the car in front of you, you were just kind of stymied there as Ewan Baker comes to the pits. Garen, curious to see if you have any thoughts on that, just how correct iRacing tends to get it here in this virtual world, as we get a good look at Baker coming down for what might be his final stop if he stretches this out. We're at 39 laps to go. What are your thoughts, Garen?
Yeah, just on that, we did see somebody go 40 laps under green earlier, so it is possible. You would need to commit to it straight away, and I mean, Ewan has certainly been around long enough to know what's required from this point. As far as the comparison to the real world Brickyard 400, a podcast that I listen to on a very regular basis called Apex Hunters United, for anyone that cares. I think they said that there was 12 on-track passes in the 400 this year. So as everybody's been saying in the practice for this week, dirty air is terrible. Passing others is really, really hard. Sounds like iRacing have got it nailed on pretty right, because that's exactly how it was in the real world too. It's really hard to pass with these cars around this track. It's a one-groove circuit for most of it, and the disturbed air means that it's really hard to get up to somebody. So, I think it's pretty nailed on.
Which only just shows the battles that we've been treated to. I'm pretty sure we've had more than 12 passes for position here in this race here. We've seen a lot of excitement here. We've seen a lot of drivers, frankly, holding the high line, which really, really surprised me, as Dylan Jordan coming in from second place. Our pit stop window is open. Dowdy continues to lead here. These cars coming in here as we serve lap 23, and I think we have a car around in the back, but these guys here, they should be able to make it to the end with a bit of save, not quite the full save that we saw a second ago, but we're definitely in the window now where each of these drivers that we're seeing now, they should be able to make it to the finish, no problem. As our leader is coming in this lap, he just called out he's going to be boxing this particular lap. So this is where we're going to start to keep an eye on Robert Northway, as he's going to begin to cycle up through the field here as these guys come down to make their pit stops, as we're watching our leader due into the pits. It also looks as though Nixon's going to come in behind him as well. A little bit of a lockup. I think he's going to be okay getting it under that speed limit there. A much cleaner entry for Nixon behind him. As we look at Northway, he has catapulted himself up to 5th. He's going to get at least one more spot because Otto in front of him has just called out that he is coming in as well.
I think everybody in front of Northway currently is now in the pit lane, and I expect him to sweep by and take the lead here. But obviously everybody that's stopping now will have the fuel to get to the end, and they'll also have better tyres on Northway when they come out now, so their pace will be faster. I think it's a very narrow band that Robert's left himself with, where basically he needs these cars that are pitting now to run more than 7 or 8 laps. If there was to be a yellow, they would need and want to come and take tyres, but he also needs that yellow to come before he runs out of fuel and has to come and take that splash and new tyres himself, which he will need to do before the end of the race. So I suppose exactly 10 to 20 laps from now, in that window, would be when Northway would want and kind of need a yellow to put himself back in the game here.
So you're saying there's a chance? There
is a chance.
As we see, Michael Hogg was briefly off track for a second, and we have a yellow. We are under caution for just the 3rd time today. I mentioned Michael Hogg showing off track. I'm going to guess he is the reason for this caution. We saw the end of line flash there. I didn't get a chance to see that car. I was making a note, so I didn't quite see who that was. Taking a look here at Hogg. Yep, just tag that outside wall. That's going to be off of turn 2 into the inside barrier. No, it's not turn 2. My mistake. My apologies. That is likely turns 3 and 4. My apologies there.
That's exactly what I was talking about earlier in this race. You know, if you push too hard and you hit that outside wall, 95% of the time it's going to swing you towards that inside wall, and unfortunately that's exactly what happened to Michael Hogg in that 744 machine. And yes, I believe that was on exit of turn 3.
And if it should be noted that if you are the car that brings out a caution, you get an automatic end of line penalty. Those are major series rules on ovals. So unfortunately for Hogg, he'll be taking that end of line penalty. So he'll be serving that here shortly. Caution coming out. You were literally just talking about it, Garen. What does this do for Northway's strategy for his chances?
It's bad news. Bad news for Robert. He's going to pit this time, and with essentially the entire rest of the top 10 only being 2 or 3 laps into their run, or even less, and with the fuel to run home, I expect them all to stay out. So this is going to bury Northway well back in the pack without having a significant tyre advantage over the people in front. So yeah, this is sort of, there was a small window of worst case scenario where if a yellow came out with the strategy he'd chosen, where it would have kicked him in the nuts, and that's exactly how it's panned out.
And he committed to this undercut strategy pretty early on in this race, making his first pit stop on lap 32. So yeah, so he was dedicated to this particular strategy right from the get-go. So you win some, you lose some. It's not over yet for him. He has a fast car. He is one of the fastest drivers here in the series, so certainly is not out of it yet in terms of a finishing position, but I am afraid I do agree with you that his opportunity to win this race likely is probably not going to happen for him here, but we're still going to keep an eye on it to see where he does end up. Something else we're keeping an eye on too, Matthew Pluck continuing to lead, and Ben Dowdy, who we have up on our screen there, currently in the second position. They will make up that front row here when we get our restart here momentarily. The 29 car, the lucky dog for this particular caution, he's making his way around. He'll rejoin the end of the field. There you see Adam Johnson right there. Had a bit of an issue on one of his pit stops earlier in the day. Fishtailed the car, had some contact, but he's soldiering on, getting back on that lead lap. Going to be restarting, I believe, around the 18th position. I don't believe we have any wave around cars on this particular caution. I think just the way it fell, just about everybody had pitted, so no wave arounds here that I am seeing. And yeah, so we're just kind of standing by here, getting ready for the restart that should be coming in, I'm gonna guess 2 laps time. Currently serving lap 127. We are down to 33 laps remaining in this race. One other thing that you're seeing right there are shadows beginning to creep across the racetrack, and with the braking markers in turn 1 specifically being all the way on the right hand side there, it can be difficult for the drivers to see those as they begin to get towards the late stages of this race. So just yet another little thing that the drivers are going to have to manage as we continue to wind down towards the conclusion of this race here.
Of discussion amongst the drivers at the moment on the best way to resort the order when iRacing's telling cars to pass other cars or drop behind other people. It's one of the advantages of having live stewarding, where in officials where you don't have that, people need to sort that out, and if they don't get their stuff together in time, you can see people getting black flags for being out of position when really it was no fault of their own. It was somebody else not following the instructions that iRacing give. Having the stewards here enables either, cautions to be extended so that we can deal with those resorts being completed before going green again, or black flags can be cleared if a driver asks for them. If they say, hey, I've been given a black flag because it says I was out of position, but there was nothing I could do. The car wanted me to be behind, was half a lap behind, and what am I supposed to do with that? We can clear those black flags. We have a verification process for after the race just to make sure that, yes, there was a legitimate reason to clear that black flag. But yeah, it means that those little things that can really piss you off when it comes to the iRacing officials, when it's some sort of quirk or bug that means that your day's ruined. Yeah, that doesn't happen in the majors because we've got people there to be able to help you out and sort it. So yeah, bit of discussion from the drivers about the best way to actually resort themselves. But yeah, everyone can do it in the confidence knowing that, however it works out, it's not going to ruin anybody's day if somebody doesn't quite get that right.
Does look like we have it sorted out now, and lights are out on the pace vehicle. Garen, what's your over/under on the number of cautions we're going to have here?
I'll set it at 2.5. So over/under, yeah. Under is at 2, overs at 3. I'll be taking the overs. Thanks very much. But yeah, guys, it's been great to come and spend some time with you in the booth today. I like getting around and seeing, as I call it on the podcast, see how the sausage is made from the other roles that people that contribute to the majors, how they get their work done. Yeah, look, I think you've got everyone in the broadcast teams, because there are multiple teams that bring the different majors broadcasts to everybody. I think you're all doing a great job. It's been really fun to sit in here for a little while with you and yeah, share a bit of that time, but I'll get out of your guys' way so that yeah, you can call the last 30 laps here to the checkered flag without me getting in the way. So yeah, look, thanks for letting me sit in for a little while, and yeah, good luck with the call for the rest of it, and yeah, thanks for everything that you bring in the majors.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Garen. Appreciate the kind words, and you are welcome to join us anytime. Thanks so much for hanging out with us for a little bit. Hope you don't get too busy here towards the tail end of this race.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, that is Garen Batson, one of the amazing people behind the major series, getting things done when it needs to be. And Tim, final 32 laps. Here we go. We're getting ready to go back green flag. Take it away.
All right, there was some discussion about if they're going to extend the caution or not. The pace vehicle is off, and Luck held that lead for a good long while, leading them into that restart zone. We are back to racing, and they fan out almost immediately behind them, trying to get the run. We are past the point of nice early restarts. We're on the back end of the race here as Pluck gets a nice clean jump into turn 1. He's going to hold on to the lead as we look a little bit deeper in the field. Robert Henry on your screen currently as they're almost 3 wide, coming off of turn 2 just ahead of him. And as we see going down here, that 27 machine almost to the grass, trying to make a move, considering 3 wide, sticks it in there. Can he make it? We got chaos all over the place. We had an incredible save, not corner. I don't know how we didn't have 6 cars stuffed up into the fence. What a job by those guys there. Bit of a suspect move to get that process initiated. Once things settle down, we'll get a replay for you, but what a job by everybody involved there to keep from causing the big one here at Indianapolis. As we're looking at Ryan Steele there, here's our replay. We see it's going to be the 27 tries to make a move, and I believe that's the 21 trying to give him room on the side, kind of not expecting it to be there. Nixon, unfortunately going to be kind of a bystander there, but what a save Nixon put together. Nixon did call out that he wanted race control to take a look at that, but man, what a save that was. As we take a look now at Thomas Hintz, he was one of the drivers that was there in the thick of that moment. He is currently stalking Ryan Steele there. That is for 6th position. Hintz wants it. Steele has it. Who's going to give way? Nobody. He's not quite there yet. But yeah, that was pretty chaotic. I was expecting there to be some fireworks there for sure, but yeah, there was something going on there. I wasn't quite sure what to say.
Yeah, that was definitely the second biggest save of the night. But man, let me tell you, I thought about half the field was going to get crumbled up there.
Yeah, by my count, Mike, there should have been at least 6 cars in the initial contact, and who knows how many would have drove into it at that point, because everybody was so close together on the restart. So things are kind of starting to settle down a little bit. We still see side-by-side battle. That's going to be, I believe, Mannering on the outside in that green and gray car. I'm not sure who that is beside him, but that is going to be a battle for position. Mannering, once upon a time, a lush dog in this race. Now he's cracking into the top 10, so nice recovery try from him as he is battling with the 511. And he is going to take that position from him. It's going to elevate Mannering into the top 10. It'll send brakes down to P11. And all of a sudden, Mannering is not done. He's looking for more. He's trying to line up a move on the 5 car, taking a peek to the outside, a little unorthodox, but also not going defensive there as Briggs takes a look himself, maybe trying to take that place back. Really good racing here. This is going to be the bout for 9th, 10th, and 11th. Those 3 cars there on your screen currently. Robert Henry, have not talked much about him as he gives just a little kiss off the exit of turn 2. Haven't talked about it much, but at this point in time, solidly in the top 10. So if you're in the top 10 this late in the going, you've had a really nice run, having a really solid race for the driver of that number 5 machine. Currently a little group here of multiple cars running nose to tail as they work their way down the front straightaway, coming to 26 laps remaining in this race.
Yeah, I also want to point out, to piggyback on what you're saying about, having great races, for like Robert Henry, that 5 machine. The fact that, we only have 2 cars, I think, out of this race. Yeah, James and Cox. Everybody's still in it. We do have some, 1, 2, 3 laps down. But this has, been a really, really fun, entertaining race. I know I've enjoyed the heck out of it. And, I mean, they're still not done.
Well, before he left, Garen said he put the over-under on cautions at 2.5, so we'll have to wait and see if we get any more yellows. I personally want to see it play out under green because I want to see if maybe Northway can get back up there, maybe mix it up a little bit, but I just prefer green flag racing. I'm not a big fan of cautions in general. I understand that why they exist. There's a very good reason why they exist, but even watching real world racing, if we start to rash cautions at the end, I'm like, come on guys, let's get better. And these drivers have had it together for the vast majority of this race. I couldn't agree with you, Mike. They've been putting on a great show for us here. It's been incredibly entertaining, as Ryan Steele has been in the thick of it for a good chunk of this race. Currently under fire of the 52 of Thomas Hintz, and then he also has Nixon behind him for company as well. Steele, again, having a great run, started deep in the field for this race, came through and solidly in the top 10, trying to hold on to that 6th place for 25 more laps. Pluck continues to lead. Ben Dowdy, sorry, not Drew, Ben, currently in 2nd, and those guys, Pluck pulled a bit of a gap, nothing too crazy, but enough to keep himself safe from any potential runs or anything like that. We have a black flag for Dylan Jordan. This is going to be a drive-through. This is a race control decision for the lap 129 incident. Now that is going to be when he dove down to the inside to take it 3 wide and led to the contact. There's, I believe, what we're seeing here. So that is a race control decision. That is going to be unfortunate for him. Going to be tough to overcome this late in the going. He was one of the strong front runners. He'd been in the top 10 for the vast majority of this race. Unfortunately for him, he's going to have to come down and serve a penalty within the next 3 laps. I have not heard if he's appealing it. So if we do hear about that, we will pass that information along. But unfortunate for Jordan there to have it this late in the going, and he is going to be coming down to serve that penalty. You never realize just how long that pit lane is until you're having to do what Jordan's doing right now and serve that penalty. You want to just get through it as quickly as possible, but you can't speed. It is just such a sinking feeling, especially this late in the going when you've put in the work all day long.
Yeah, gonna come back here real quick. So this is the incident here.
That's honestly kind of a tough one for race control because contact was made. But if I'm Dylan, I'm making the argument that I was taking avoiding action to the car in front of me or the car inside of me, right? So, yeah. And I get that you still need to control your car and you still can't be creeping up into the guy on the outside when you got to make a change of direction like that. You're already at the level of adhesion on those tires. It can be difficult to manage how the car climbs the wall. So that's a call either way. So that's an instance where race control is just going to have to make a decision, which they have done. I don't disagree with what they said, but I can also see Jordan's argument as well. As we see Jake Fox sitting in the pit lane, he is likely to be using fast repair there. Got a meatball flag. We'll see if we can get the incident for you. And right on cue, it's another instance where I believe that was the 76 that just missed. Another moment.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely go right on board here with Matt Chalker on this one.
Chalker Benjamin earlier incident having a tough day trying to recover from that. We're currently in the 31st position. We're headed down the front straight where the incident did take place in turn 1, I believe. Chalker has the car to his inside.
Sorry.
As you can see, Fox goes. Oh my goodness! And, oh my goodness! And you can see the steering input that Shocker put in. The Shocker made the right decision. When you see a car like that, usually their chances are fairly high that they're going to stay up against the wall. And that's what Shocker was anticipating there. And then all of a sudden, the 08 starts creeping down on him. And so he's going lower and lower. And he realizes, I'm not going to make it. And then really fast hands by Shocker did a really nice job to avoid what would have been a massive collision.
Hang on, I'm going to mute you for a second. Okay, I'm sorry, but that call from race control, that's... I don't agree with it whatsoever. Because, like, he was trying to protect himself, but then he got put in that 3-wide situation. I don't think it's the right call. I'm just saying.
I don't disagree with that. I think it's one of those wherever the bullying on the field was type scenarios. I think if anything, you may want to look at the car that took him 3 wide on the inside. That might be the person that you want to look at. If it was me. Good look at Cam Dance there. Worked his way up to third. Very quiet day for him. We have not talked about him much, and he's wiggling and wobbling all over the place coming out of turn 4 there. Nice job catching that. I cannot... He's living up to it, that is for sure. And I feel like every time we talk about him, he's doing that. But I cannot overstate how close he was right there, and he's still fighting it as he's coming off of corner there down the back straightaway. It is so easy to lose the car as soon as it starts to twitch like that. So incredible car control that we're seeing there from Dance. It's again, I cannot overstate how difficult it is to catch these things when they start to go around. But Dance currently in. Quite literally, I think he really is. I think he's trying to work over Dowdy in front of him there for the second spot. See if maybe he can get around him and maybe make a run to track down the leader. But he's got to take care of those tires. Like they're not going to like being taking that level of, we'll call it abuse for lack of a better term. And you're not going to be able to keep that kind of behavior up within the car. The tires are just not going to take it from them for very long before they just give up the grip. So. You gotta balance that fine line, but at the same time, that car's right there in front of you, so close that you can almost touch it. So I certainly get it from inside the helmets what you're trying to do there, but yeah, just gotta be careful there because those tires are not gonna be very happy with you if you keep that up. Like all the other drivers, and Mike, you alluded to it, there are no give up in any of these drivers. They will drive these things until the system will tell you you are not able to drive anymore. As we see Dances alongside Dowdy here, this is 4P. Dowdy cutting up into Baker. Oh, and there's contact. Dance high up into the wall. He did save it, but there was contact, and he has lost all his momentum. He's going to lose the spot to Nixon. Oh, and Nixon on the wall. Now, these guys are pushing hard right now. Man. We'll have to get a replay of that here for you in a minute, but that got crazy there for a while as Dixon and Dance are now battling side by side. This is on turn 4. Here's our replay. Dance is already unsettled. I'm not sure if you have to make a move here, just trying to save the car. When got side by side, they're side drafting off each other. There's been a casual contact as we get into turn 1. And once again, this corner, it's... I think it may have been a scenario where the two cars kind of got together and couldn't unhook themselves, and he unfortunately sent Dance into the wall. And actually, you know what it was? Like, Dance just entered that corner way too shallow. When you're all the way on the inside wall, like Dance is right there, you have to be able to arc the corner at least a little bit. That's why you saw the 313 go up against the wall on corner entry. So that's going to be why Dance was where he was, and it is worth noting Nixon is calling that out, requesting race control to take a look at that. So we're going to have to follow up with you when we hear from race control. But yeah, a lot going on there.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to point out, but I mean, Dottie, he did run Cameron down to the inside and shot back up across the track last second to try to hit the mark to hit the apex and absolutely overshot it. So it's not going to surprise me if Race Control has Ben Dottie come down for a drive-through here in the final 12 laps of this race.
And now Dowdy also calling out a turn 4 incident. So that give and take we were talking earlier, it is all take, no give at this point of the race, and we're starting to see that with the protests that are going to come in and the behavior on the racetrack itself. And honestly, I'm mostly here for it because it's been a lot of fun to watch, and these guys are really battling hard.
So I'm assuming this is what they are talking about. Heading down into turn 4, the 27 there gives a little bit of a tap there to Dottie, and then British Dottie just runs him down the track. Keeps pushing right there. A little bit of contact. He shoots back up, overshoots the corner, and that is all she wrote. And Ewan Baker, he was a benefactor in all that because he did come out second. And now he's on his way to try to catch Matthew Buck.
And that's a great catch by you, Mike, to kind of show the incident within the incident. So that contact in turn 4 kind of set up why the 313 was likely not giving way. Just because, when you get out like that redness is going to populate just a little bit, and so can't say I blame him there. I know we don't have your iRacing as well, Mike. I know that if somebody's tagging me like that, I'm saying, Mike, I don't know if they're flashing their lights, and I'm going to find it that much harder. So can't say I blame the 313 in that instance for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, something tells me, if anything, I think we might have 2 cars come down pit road here in final 9 laps. So, or it could even itself out, and our race control says, you guys are fine. So we'll just have to wait and see.
It's worth noting in that whole sequence, has fallen down to 6th place, so he definitely has not worked out for him in that sequence. I can't believe I missed it, but you said it ago. We are inside 10 to go. Let's do a quick rundown. As you plug into the lead, he has not much of a gap. You can see both first and second there, right there on screen. Baker there holding serve, trying to take advantage of it. We're going to keep an eye on that. It is a visual gap, so we don't even need to look at timing scoring. We can see it right in front of our faces. Dowdy still there in 3rd place after that dust up with Dance. Nixon right behind him. And for P5, we have, who is that? That is Thomas. Yeah. And Dance holding serve in 6th place. Steele still in the top 10 in P7, and the pressure that he was under has eased off a bit. Robert Henry there in P8. P9 being held down by Keith Maring, our earlier Lucky Dog recipient. Great comeback for him. And Robert Northway rounding out your top 10. He's under a bit of pressure from the 511 of Adam Briggs there behind him. We'll have to keep an eye on that battle, and then as these last begin to wind down, we also want to keep an eye on that lead as well, just to see if he needs to come down a little bit more north. They're not really getting away from Briggs. Briggs kind of holding serve there, looking for a way through. And all of these cars are within about 4-ish seconds of each other, from what I can see here. Maybe a bigger gap. The timing loop on my screen is a little small, a little blurry, so I'm having a hard time reading it. I'm kind of switching back and forth between a couple different screens here, but. Yeah, coming to 6 laps to go. Mike, your thoughts before we get into the final curtain call here, but real quick, the 313 and 27, no further action for the turn 4 and turn 1 incidents. So race control deeming those are race incidents come down towards the tail end of this race. So we will drive on. But Mike, your thought as we begin to wind this one down.
Yeah, as we do get to wind this down, we're coming into 5 laps to go this time by, and man, I mean, we've only had 4 cautions today. That's absolutely mind-blowing. Here at Indianapolis, as you see Briggs finally getting that run on Northway. I'm sorry, that's Dan Stevens getting a run on Briggs. I apologize about that. But I mean, it's just, this overall race has been spectacular. I freaking love this race all day long, you guys. I mean, this is some of the best racing that you could ask for. And, I've been geeking out this whole race, as a race fan, not as a producer, not as commentary. I've been geeking out this whole time as a race fan. So, I mean, I'm stoked to see how this is going to finish out.
Well said, my friend, well said. And yeah, we're just, I think I said here, and I know I said them all, we're just a couple of dudes starting out to race cars, and we're having a lot of fun doing it. So, I'm coming to the business end of it, though, 4 laps to go. When Hutchinson, he's not done yet, trying to get another spot. Hutch currently in, where's he running? 16th at the moment. Yep, you're right, 16th. Yes, sir. So, top 15, solid. You're in the top half of the field there, Briggs, and Briggs still fighting with the 3 car there. Those two still have a battle. Not much to change at the front either. Pluck still holding the lead. Baker not making a lot of inroads towards him as we're coming to go. This is the best battle that we have on track at the moment. This three-way fight for what would be a top 10 position. So not an insignificant finishing position in this race. And if you can get a top 10, always a good result. So these guys are still going to be duking it out. A little surprised that North is not able to eke ahead of these guys. He's been really fast the whole race. So a little interesting that he frankly hold him up a little bit as he's going defensive down the back straightaway. As it looks like Briggs may have had the run. Now he's going to go all the way back up to the top corner there, side by side between Briggs and the three. Briggs just stepping out on him, did really well to gather back. He is going to lose out that position, down to 12th.
Now to come back here to Matthew Pluck as he makes his way out of turn number one, heading down here to turn number 2. He's got less than 5 miles now left here in the Brickyard 400 for the international region. And let me tell you what, this is a very well-deserved win if he can last this final lap and a half.
Very well-deserved indeed. Just quietly work his way through, and then out when the opportunity presented itself. Coming off of turn 4, he will see the white flag. Baker is a little far behind him to make a move. Dowdy in third place. Those positions look to be pretty settled. It is the final lap of the Brickyard 400 here on the major series. Matthew Pluck is your leader, and he has moved that out to around second here. So if you just second one, all he has to do is hold the front two course, and the victory is his. But anything can happen. That's right. Finally, on my alternate screen, we do have a wreck. We'll get to that here in a minute. But right now, we do want to see the 51 of Matthew Pluck working his way through turn 3, now through turn 4, coming back out onto the start-finish rate for the final time. Matthew Pluck will take victory here at the Brickyard 400. He wins it here at Indianapolis. Ewan Baker, the 34, brings it home second. Really good result for him. And Dowdy is the top 3 of your podium. Round out your podium, I should say. Nixon in 5th. Thomas Heitz, or Nixon in 4th, excuse me, Thomas Heitz in 5th. Good look at him right there. Robert Henry in 6th. The 511 of Mannering getting not the top 10, but getting it home all the way to 7th. Good run for him. Dan Stevens finishing 8th. Martin Northway does finish in 9th. The 25 car there of Gavin Barber, who we didn't talk about at all today, finishes in 10th, but congratulations to our winner, Matthew Pluck. We're going to step aside for a moment. We're going to see if we can get some of these guys in here for a quick chat. You are watching the Major Series on YouTube. We will take a short break and hopefully be back to discuss this event with your winner.
I just went ahead and just muted us for a minute. Do you mind just picking on interviews?
No, not at all.
Okay. Alright, let's back. I'm going to start going over some of those incidents that happened the last couple of laps. I'll leave on that.
I'm going to send the message over to the chat.
Okay. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we had a couple issues go on as we were getting ready to take the checker in the 74 of Michael Hogg. He just got loose there into that. Oh, and he got a little bit out there to finish that off. Didn't catch who that was. Then after we got the white flag, Cameron Dance. Oh, okay. That was a very interesting mistake here. See what happened to Cameron Dance, that 27 machine. Yeah, big unfortunate situation there for Cameron as he will fall all the way back to that 18th position. Who was back here with him? It looks like the 5 machine of Robert Henry was there, and number 12. Or 5? Was it? No. Was it 12? Was it 12? It was Ryan Steele, that's who it was. He's back in that. Oh, and more contact. What? Briggs in a 511. He's trying to get around the 46, I think that is, and he just left the 12 machine. Oh man, pure chaos. Ryan Steele involved in here as well. And there he's Ryan, the number 12 machine. And that was pure chaos there coming to the ending of this race, then. We're going to try to get to our... No problem, son. I got you, buddy. I got you.
Also, give me one quick second here.
Yeah. Well, while you do that, then I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take a look here at your race results. And move that back right there. Let me remove that. Man, that Brickyard logo is fine right there. But ladies and gentlemen, Matthew Pluck is going to be your race winner, leading 84 laps here today in that number 51 machine. Ewan Baker, he'll come home second, and Ben Dottie, or Dottie, yeah, he will come home third. Fourth will go to Connor Nixon, Thomas Hins, Robert Henry, Heath Mannering, Dan Stevens, Robert Northway, and Gavin Barber will round out your top 10. 11th is going to be Adam Briggs, followed by Robbie Bradbury, Wayne Hutchinson, Craig Tilson, and Paul McKenzie will round out your top 15. Adam Johnson, Phil Otto, Cameron Dance, Ryan Steele, and Dylan Jordan will round out your top 20 here today. 21st, you got Phil King, Martin Waugh, Clint Day, Brad Wiggins, Wayne Taylor, Matt Town, Jason Lottridge, Matt Chalker, Michael Hogg, Stuart Elder will round out your top 30. And rounding out your field here today, if I can get it pulled up correctly, there it goes, will be Jake Fox, Cam James, and then Gavin Cox, who did not make the start of the race. Your hard charger for today is going to go to Robbie Bradbury, coming up 14 spots. Matthew Pluck, your race winner. He led the most laps, had the fastest lap. And don't forget to give out a shout out to Dan Stevens in the number 3 machine for having your pole for this race. We did have 3 cautions for a total 11 laps, and we did have 4 different leaders all race long. So not too shabby. What a fantastic, awesome race. And I believe we are just about ready to talk with our podium drivers.
Indeed. And while Mike gets that, sorry for having to step away for a second. We are broadcasting from home. All of a sudden, my dog started barking. And when that happens at almost 2 o'clock in the morning, that's going to get my attention. So I had to make sure everything was okay there. Sorry for having to step away for a second. Mike, thanks so much for taking it away. We are working on getting our podium finishers here in the broadcast booth for a quick chat. So Mike, just let me know once they're here and we'll get rolling on it.
Yeah, so we do have Ewan Baker and Matthew Pluck ready for interview. Ben Dottie, if you're listening in or at all and would like to come in and chat with us, go ahead and just wait. Head over to interview split 1, and we'll get you in for an interview. But until then, we're going to go ahead and bring in your runner-up driver, Ewan Baker. Take it away, Tim.
All right, Ewan. Hey, man. Great run for you today. You were kind of hanging out there in the top 5, and then all of a sudden, Dance and Nixon, they had their little scuffle there, and all of a sudden you find yourself in P2. So walk me through first that moment, what that felt like for you, and then just walk me through your day as a whole.
Yeah, I was kind of knew that the guys around me were, quite aggressive and fighting for position, and I knew as well just I didn't have enough to fight really myself, so I thought I'd just hang back, see my tires, see what happens in front, and yeah, that happened, which was perfect. A little bit of a raced heart rate just until I got past it. You never know where cars are going to end up, but yeah, it worked out perfectly, and as well for the championship, it couldn't be much of a better night, so I'm very happy.
Now, you raced here in our Speedway 500 earlier in the season. Now that you have a Brickyard under your belt as well, which of those 2 cars do you prefer here at Indianapolis, the Indy car or the NASCAR car?
It's kind of hard to say because the Indy car, I think you can set up overtakes a bit more easily, so there's a bit more back and forth throughout the race. But I do quite like how the NASCAR handles around here. It is a lot of fun to drive around. So yeah, that's honestly quite a tricky one to answer. I mean, yeah, take either one, to be honest.
That is the correct answer. Last question for you here. Did you have anything for Pluck once you got into second? You weren't that far behind him, but it seemed like that gap just didn't quite shrink down. Was there anything that you had for him when you got up to P2?
No, I mean, to be fair, KSR cars were rocket ships. We saw that in the qualifying, and yeah, throughout the race they were very quick. So yeah, I was just hanging on to Pluck's coattails. But yeah, especially with the tire wear, and I think I could pull up to that 0.8 sort of gap, but as soon as I got there, just the air wash and the understeer just killed the rest of it. So yeah, couldn't do much. But also I knew points wise, I was gaining on a lot of people around me. So yeah, just played the championship game. I did throw away a lot of points with my incident in the last round, so I definitely need to practice being smarter from here on out, and I think that paid off tonight.
Well, thanks so much for taking some time to chat with us here. Before I let you go, anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, just massive thanks as always to the team at Synergy Sim Racing, and big shout out to our sponsors as well: Super Speed, Works Racing Components, and Watercraft Performance Works.
Awesome. Well, you guys put on a great show. It was a lot of fun to watch from our perspective. So congratulations on the second place finish. We'll go ahead and let you go. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you next time. Congrats again.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
That was our runner-up from today's Brickyard 400. Ewan Baker driving the number 34 car, giving us a little bit of insight here into what it was like from his perspective. He really was kind of a factor of the entire race, and had a lot of fun chatting with him. We're working to get our race winner here in, and he's joining us now, ladies and gentlemen. Matthew Pluck. First and foremost, congratulations on the win, Matthew. Walk through your race. You were kind of in the mix. You got into a little bit of strategy play, but once you got there, you never surrendered it. So walk us through what your day was like.
Yeah, cheers, guys. It was interesting. Yeah, I had a pretty good race car, but the top two, Connor Nitson and Northway, they both bolted at the start. And they were running, I don't know what kind of strategy they were running, but they were paying before the end of the stint. So I don't know if they were trying to maximise or even split it by the stint or something. So they were gaining a little bit on there because they were getting time in the car earlier. But other guys were kind of running full stints. So I was kind of the first car on track the whole day. So I knew I was kind of where I wanted to be. Gave me more flexibility, and then obviously when the yellows fell, it worked in my favour. And then once you got the front, this track's so hard to pass on. I just had to keep the guys behind me, you know. You get 2 or 3 laps when you're behind somebody move after it's hot heated. So I knew if I just get the start.
Hi, 5 a.m. here. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. All around, it was a awesome, amazing race. We saw a lot of really good side-by-side racing. We saw, really good nose-to-tail battling out 3 or 4 different major saves, that should have been cautions but weren't cautions. This is probably the best Brickyard 400 I have ever witnessed or been, a part of. That it just was awesome today. I can't wait to see what the European and the America regions have here later on today. Yes, sir. Yep. Yep. All right, we are clear. Oh, no, you're good. I was able to fill the air. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, heck yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm took another muscle relaxer and my happy butt's going to go to bed, and hopefully I'll be up in 5 hours for my next broadcast. Racer Elite Premier Series. They're running I think it's a 50% race over at Iowa. So we'll see.